Alec Deschamps, joined by Jake Shuknik, as we are just confirming that this is showing up here on our YouTube page. If we do have any viewers here.
There we go. I see it now.
Perfect. As we unfortunately missed the first end here of the streaming, so just to catch you up quickly, it was a perfect end for Ontario 6, as we are watching an inter-provincial matchup here of Ontario 5 versus Ontario 6.
So Ontario 6 is Kerry Lucier from the Windsor Lawn Bowling Club. He is currently 1-2. And Ontario 5 is David Jeffries up from Ottawa area. I think it's Goleta is the club that he runs. And he is still looking for his first win. So 0-3 against 1-2. Kerry picked up the perfect end to start the game, and it looks like he scored another handful here. I'm not sure if that was 3 or 4.
Oh yeah, I was thinking 3 here by the way it was spread around the jack, but we'll await confirmation here from the scorer.
So Kerry is using white bowls, and Mr. Jeffries is using orange bowls.
So a white bowl with the white hat, and then the nice safari hat is with the orange bowls.
I think that was only a 1. It says 5-0.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
That can't be right, can it?
Did a good job cutting it down, if
I guess he did,
that's
yeah.
the case.
So 5-0.
Perfect, as we change the camera angle here for you folks.
As always, if you want to check out the scores and standings, head on over to bowlscanada.com. The menu bar at the top, events will take you down to 2022 Canadian Lawn Bowling Championships. And then on that page, on the right-hand side, there's a hyperlink for singles, schedules, and standings, and that'll tell you everything you need to know about singles. Yeah. Looks like both players here are past the jack, but Kerry's first team about 5 feet through, and Dave about 4 feet through. There are a lot of Davids playing in the singles today. There's David Jeffries, David Anderson, there's Coach David Matthew, Coach David Kalem.
Nice.
Lots of Daves.
Yeah, there's a lot of Daves there.
Quite the line of bowls here behind the jack. As Mr. Jeffries is almost rolling an identical bowl to his first one.
Yeah, just a bit long here as we are greeted by some sunshine and no clouds, so thankfully we're set for another beautiful day here at Burlington Lawn Bowling Club.
In this first to 21 points, we have again, for the rest of the round robin here, shortened the time limit to 2 hours and 15 minutes. With a few players not a big fan of that, but day 1 getting a game and a half rained out. Looking to make up some lost time here this week, so there's a men's round going on right now, a women's round after this, and then the men will finish the last 57 minutes of their half game that got rained out before we move into tiebreakers and then quarterfinals still today, so lots to do.
Lots to do, yeah.
Quick shout out to George Cubis and his crew of merry men, as he called it on the way in. Umpire squad here today. I can see Jim Roth down there. I'm not quite sure who the third umpire is floating around, but big thanks to them for all they've done all week. It's been great to have such qualified umpires here.
That's a very nice bowl here, just going past the jack. Might be shot here, it's hard to tell.
Using the hammer effectively. So similar to curling, we call the last bowl the hammer. Why? I have no idea, but that's what we call it. And
put the hammer down at the end of the end, I guess.
Yeah, maybe. So he used his hammer well. I'm a big fan that Kerry just kicked all the bowls away, just because there's really only, those are the only 2 you need to see and save so much time. So that will get Mr. Jeffries on the board. 5-0. And ends do not matter here, so we're not even going to tell you that that's been their third end. To the 8 of you watching, if you want to pop in the chat who you are, where you're from, love to hear. Happy to answer any questions you may have. course, streaming live to YouTube means that you need to have a YouTube account or a Gmail account in order to sign in to leave a comment, but they're free to make. Small promo there for Google YouTube, I guess.
Yeah, not sponsored.
Not sponsored at all. Get out of here, Alphabet.
As we have a medium jack here, which is a very similar jack to the previous 10 as well. As this first bull here is well deep.
Yeah, that is way past. That is covering the tee with his first.
Unfortunately, the score is right in the line of sight here as we're having trouble to see. So if you could just, for reference here, the jack is about exactly where her head would be.
Yeah, the tip of her cap, you can kind of see it on the left.
Creeping
almost.
there, that you see the shadow coming out on the left-hand side of her her hat there. As we have one deep and one short, so trying to avoid making the same mistake as his opponent. And speaking of short, here comes the second bowl here, coming up a bit short, trying to fix the weight issue that he had on his first bowl here, but to no avail as it comes up well short. As we'll see Jake here maybe come into frame, asking the scorer to please stand on its side. And thankfully, no apology needed from the scorers. She didn't know. And as Jake goes in, she gracefully steps aside as we see a full picture now of the head.
She was very apologetic, which, my bad for not telling her ahead of time you're on TV.
Right, I told her she didn't need to apologize. That's, if you don't know, you don't know.
It's also hard to know where the camera is when you're not even looking at it. Right?
Right.
Eyes on the back of your head to know. How's the scent shaping up? Looks like Dave Jeffries is lying a couple.
Yep.
Still nothing really anywhere near, though. Closest bowl is 4 feet away.
I'm a big fan of those white bowls. I have not seen a lot of white bowls, and
No?
they look like little snowballs.
I saw Ontario's VP, Ralph Ellis, posted on Facebook the other day that if you use a Mr. Clean magic eraser thing, it's good to get the scuff marks out because the white bowls, obviously, any sort of
Right.
dirt or anything will show up on it.
Right. Cool.
So why don't you know? For anybody out there with white bowls looking to clean them.
Ooh.
There we go.
That was neat.
Nice little shot.
Right
drawn
between
through
the goalposts.
I like that, between the goalposts. In our Learn to Bowl kit, we have a bunch of different activities and games to try and get new people engaged. One of the games is like try to score through the goalposts, set up a bunch of bowls.
Oh,
in front
cool,
and
right.
Try to score on yourself. So Carey's last bowl getting a good rub there.
Yeah, very nice towards the jack, as I do believe that it shot itself and only good for the one.
Saving the best for last. That'll be another Uno to Carey to make it 6-1, I would imagine. From this angle, I think we're actually close enough that I'm not even going to second guess who shot and who's not.
As I believe Carey naturally agrees.
They had a conversation I was overhearing a little bit before the game started, before trial bowls started, about trial bowls. Carey had several sets out that he was using 1 or 2 bowls from, and Dave said, you know, you can only throw 4. And he said, yeah, I know I can only throw 4, but they don't all have to be from the same set. So I think he was testing trial bowls with a bunch of different types of bowls.
Yeah, I noticed that as well.
And we are bringing the mat way up here. Love this.
Ooh, that's a bit of a strategy change here as we flip camera to see where the jack will end up.
He is matching Pat Birdman down on rink 6, I guess that is, against Brandon Watson, as Pat Bird also has the mat up to the hog line. Having played against Pat, that does not surprise me. He loves to mat at the hog and jack to the tee, and away we go. And as soon as I said that, Brandon Watson's called for an umpire for a jack measure down there. What do we got here? Pretty good opening bowl from Mr. Lucier.
Yep.
And let the kicking begin as all the bulls get raked up to the hog line.
As I do, nice, as he hits the jack pretty square there, bringing it back, helping his cause a bit too with...
Yeah, grabbing the white. I love it. Take that, mat changer.
Now, as I do have to point out that the David's sense of style here is pretty adequate, as his New Balance shoes has an orange sole, which identically matches his bowls, which is
I didn't see that.
very nice.
Fashion in style, Dave Jeffries. Coming down from Goleta.
As David throws his second bowl here, not nearly as good as his first one, but still deep enough to get that. Oh, I stand that back. I take that back part of me. I did not see Kerry's bowl there in the back right.
Yeah, so not quite good enough for second shot, but pretty good weight though. Almost jack high. As Kerry is fairly deliberate here on the mat.
Yeah, as he threw it right on. I might have disturbed it a bit, but I do believe... Actually, that's very close. Maybe a measure here for shot. See if David has anything to say about that. Removing all doubt.
I do favor Kerry's bowl at the moment, but it is close.
Yeah?
I think it's Kerry's, but not anymore.
Right.
Yeah, it definitely not.
Now it's Kerry.
Okay.
As he gets bumped in there by David. As he grimaces ever so slightly.
See what Kerry's response is here. He'll just grab the white, go for a trail.
And he might have brought the jack towards Dave's bowl here, but I cannot confirm from this camera angle. Does seem that way though.
I think he flopped the wrong way, yeah. Had he stayed standing upright or flopped inwards, he would have had it, but flopping outwards, I think he gave it to Dave. That is an unfortunate result for a pretty good trail, but needed either way more weight to trail it back to his far back right one, or a little less.
I was surprised to see. Did any of the players here throw on the ditch side? I didn't notice.
I don't think they did. I haven't really seen one.
They must not trust that line because the jack is on that ditch side there.
So Kerry's holding the jack, so I guess that was one to Kerry. Huh. Fooled us. So that is now, what, 7-1?
7-1, yeah, to a race of 21. Ends do not matter, but of course there is still a time limit as we're not quite in playoffs yet. With a time limit of 2 hours and 15 minutes.
This is a high-scoring affair. We're 18 minutes into this game.
Right.
And we've already got 8 points on the board, 7-1. That's a third of the way for Kerry.
Well, a perfect end to start is...
yeah, that'll help.
yeah.
That'll help.
Is literally a perfect start. Cannot get better
Indeed.
than that.
As we should probably...
Yep. As that was my mistake. I got caught a couple times yesterday's stream as Kerry delivers a near perfect bowl here almost. A resting toucher.
Beautiful. Shout out to Roy Riggy next door. He looked over and asked, is the marker in the way? And I gave him a thumbs up saying she was fine, but I guess he thought I meant she is in the way, so he told her to back off a touch.
As look at this bowl from Dave here. As it is a toucher as the marker is bending down to apply chalk on there, and that is shot itself there as 2 bowls right beside the jack here to start.
Can't get much tighter of an end.
I wonder if one of the players are going to attempt to disturb that head, putting a bit more weight in there.
Kerry's coming up well short with his second. I guess maybe he was a little scared to touch it, but if I were either player right now, I'd be looking for something in behind, about a foot or two past the jack, just for in case anybody does disturb it and the jack pops out. So short bowls would not be what I'm going for. Dave is, wow. Wow. Mr. Mr. Jeffries, welcome to Burlington.
Jeez Louise, eh?
Holy smokes.
As he has found his stroke here.
Yeah, no kidding. A bit of a slow starter. I guess the coffee hadn't kicked in yet, but now that it has. To all you District 16 folks. Pride of Goleta. Putting on a show. That's a well-placed bowl from Kerry to set it up for his last one, but the downside is, with his first one being so short, he has to make it on his last one now.
Right.
So no room for error. Not surprisingly, Dave's trying to come in just behind. I think that's a very well-played bowl.
Yeah, right in between Kerry's bowl and the head there.
So now, I would expect big weight from Kerry on his last one here. Try and kill the jack. Might even get his white bull to come back with it, so you could be sitting 2 or 3 if he makes it.
He's walking towards his mat here now after assessing the situation, and I'm trying to see here through the fence if he is indeed going to drive it in. I do hope so. They're quite exciting plays, the drives.
They are. I quite enjoyed those too.
As this does not look like a drive, as it is coming in rather slow for a drive. As he
Grab
does
the
have
jack.
contact and running through the frame here. As it is a toucher. As I wonder how you can see the chalk on a white bowl.
You know, that's an interesting question. Nowadays with those white bowls, you need like 2 different colors of chalk, one colored and one white, just to make sure you have your bases covered, which is kind of a pain.
Yeah, I hadn't thought about that until right now. Because here we see David's last bowl being thrown here.
Dave has a chance for 2 here, I think, if he can get a bit of a wiggle on the jack, but he's coming up short. That is not what you want to do with your last one, but Kerry's quick to concede 1 to say 1 to Mr. Jeffries. After a head like that, I think he absolutely deserves it, but Kerry made a heck of a shot to almost take it away. So you're going to the senior triples in Victoria, September 21 to 25.
Yep.
And I have just learned that you will get to see one of my favorite bowlers there from Manitoba, Phil Clark. He is, I believe, from Australia initially. He's been in Manitoba for I don't know how many years now, 10, 20, something like that.
Right.
But love the accent, always got a joke to tell. Just a funny dude. And so
That should be fun, eh?
I'm kind of jealous that you get to
Right.
go and hang out with him.
Oh, now I'm really excited.
Shout out Phil. Phil Clark.
In your best Australian accent.
Solid dude.
As the mat here is pretty far back, almost
Almost on the tee, yeah.
almost on the tee, yeah.
Maybe a meter past the tee.
David throws an excellent first bowl here.
Reminiscent of Mary Wright yesterday with first one just being fast, eh?
Right.
First bowl 2 feet through, first
Yeah.
bowl a foot through.
Yep.
It is a solid strategy in singles, and I applaud it.
This is a bit of an underthrow here from Kerry, as David is quick to throw his bowl here, trying to capitalize on that, on the opportunity here at hand.
You know, you mentioned earlier on, did anybody play the ditch hand side? And so far, I haven't really seen anybody play the ditch hand side going this direction. So they must have found something during trial bowls that, you know, that hand's a little
They don't
funky.
like it, right?
Yeah, let's not play it. As both players playing that same non-ditch hand. Just promoting Dave into score 2 at the moment, to count 2 at the moment.
It'll be interesting to see if there's an opportunity that comes that forces these players to go on the ditch side, if they do elect to go on the ditch side, or if it's that bad that they will have to figure something else out.
Coming this way last end, there were a few bowls played on the ditch hand side, so it seems to be only going this direction.
Right, as David, pardon me, has a toucher here.
Yeah, that's the thing. There's too many Davids here now, because
Right.
Davey Matthew goes by Davey. I always call Dave Jeffries Dave, but I also call David Anderson Dave. And then David Killam's always David.
Can't go wrong with David, I'll tell you that for free.
pretty solid head here shaping up for Mr. Jeffries as he's holding 3. Seeing if he can retake that perfect end he gave up in end number uno, and looks like he could be holding 4 at the moment. Trying to claw his way back. That would almost bring us back to a tie game, just about. But I'm sure Kerry will have something to say about it.
As Kerry was very decisive here, walked up on the man, knew what he wanted, and threw the bull right away. As it is coming in quite nicely. He's coming in sort of narrow here.
A little narrow, but that probably cuts out 1 or 2.
Oh, I think it cuts out 2 for sure. And I wouldn't be surprised if it even cut out 3, but even those back bowls looked a bit closer.
Kerry is quick to prop up his bowl, which I think technically you're supposed to wait 30 seconds before you can put a wedge underneath.
Interesting.
So I might have been a little quick on that, but
No complaints from his opponent or the scorer.
Yeah. David Jeffries is an umpire, so he knows the rules fairly well, I would imagine, so clearly not overly concerned. I don't think that bowl was leaning enough it was going to fall anyway. So dose for
Yeah, that is.
Mr. Jeffries, but we're still going. No. Two times.
2 times. So it's still a productive end here for David. So it is now a 7-4 game here for Ontario 6.
That is such a funny thing to say for Ontario 6.
Yeah, it really is.
So with our 24 person field, each province is allocated specific numbers based on how large their province is. So Ontario typically gets 4, BC gets 4, Alberta, Saskatchewan, Nova Scotia each get 3. Manitoba, I believe, gets 2. Quebec gets 2. PEI, New Brunswick each get 1. But then whoever's hosting automatically gets 1 as well to round out the 24. And if any province does not send someone, host province gets asked first again. So Ontario had 4. They got 5th right off the hop for hosting. And then because PEI isn't here, they got a 6th one as well. Over on rink 2, I can see Jack in the Ditch, Roy Riggy, drawing a couple beautiful ditch draws.
I will just move the scoreboard here on top here so that we can see the jack.
Good call. Well played, sir. As Mr. Jeffries is coming down, will he grab the jack? Just a kiss. Not a terrible opening bull. Chalk will certainly show on his orange ones.
As it's not visible here on your screen, but it is just off the screen here on the bottom left-hand side. I would say about 3-4 feet from the jack. As this one that we had just seen from Kerry, the white bull here, is exactly at the same spot that David's at. To give you a perspective.
Just looking at YouTube, it still shows the scoreboard at the bottom, which is kind of strange. How do we change that? I don't know if we can. Well, sorry, folks. Looks like the scoreboard's going to be covering up the jack. It's probably just behind the number 4 on the scoreboard.
Yeah, that's a shame.
Yeah, not sure why it's... Oh, there we go. That took a long time to move. So, with David coming up short and Kerry just sailing through with his last one there, I believe David's bull is shot, that orange one, the only one on your screen. Good morning, James Rimmer and Sarah Van Stein. Nice to have you with us this morning, once again.
Good morning, guys.
And gals.
And gals, yeah.
So we'll do our best to describe the head since you can't see the bulls behind the jack. Kerry has 2 bulls behind the jack. His first bull behind the jack is probably 3 feet past. His other one is probably 4.5. Meanwhile, Dave has won the initial toucher that's also about 3 feet past. Yeah, so Kerry and Dave have sort of equidistant bowls 3 feet behind the jack that you can't see. So that one bowl up top you can see is for sure shot, and then it's a measure after that for those bowls behind off camera.
As David has really stopped Kerry's momentum here, eh?
Mm-hmm. So Kerry's going to sneak in here to draw a shot itself. Those 2 bowls that are equidistant, I'll try to explain, are 3 feet behind the jack and probably 1 foot to the left on the camera to give you an idea of where that would be. Good morning, Mark Lucier. So Kerry's brother tuning in. 3 guesses on who you're cheering for.
I think we could go for 2 guesses even.
Oh. Dave almost grabbed the jack on his way through, but just missed. So that'll still be 1 for Kerry at the moment.
Yep. As those white bowls are very good for TV.
Yeah, you can really tell.
Yeah, you can. It's like it looks like a giant jack to a certain degree.
You know what? That's probably a good idea, Sarah. I'll see if I can do that. Can we put their initials on again? Hey. So what do we got here? Ontario 5 is DJ. And Kerry just trailed it right back to Dave's, so now the jack is pinned on Dave's orange bowl behind. So
Yeah, making it less than ideal for Kerry here, but it will only be just the 1 for David. As right on demand, Jake changes the scoreboard slightly and provides us with initials to make it easier to identify the players here, as Ontario 5 and Ontario 6 does not give you much.
So that'll be 1 for Dave. I guess I can update that here now. He's on the left.
Yep.
7-5.
7-5 here.
Ah,
We
good
can change the camera angle and maybe bring that scoreboard down again.
Now, for anybody who actually knows the players here, if you're watching, I will say that don't be confused with the initials DJ, because there is someone here from Quebec that we call DJ, David James Smith. He goes by DJ a lot. So Ontario 5 is David Jeffries, not David James Smith. DJ and DJ.
That might be Jack on the tee here.
Yeah, it looks like it. Was I premature in moving the scoreboard down?
Nope, it is perfect since we have that see-through scoreboard for Ontario 6 there. We can see the Jack perfectly fine as the first bowl from David here is coming in.
Just sailing through, but since it's on the tee, that will hang on, I believe. Another off-screen end coming up, I'm afraid.
As Kerry is just setting up his sun protection here, putting a wet towel around his neck, keeping himself cool.
That is a smart idea, because I feel toasty in here.
It is toasty, but they can't complain. I'd rather this than the thunderstorms that we had on,
Yeah,
on
amen to
Tuesday.
that. Amen to that. Sarah, I don't think I've met either one of these bowlers. By these bowlers, do you mean David Jeffries and Kerry Lucier on screen here?
And speaking of Kerry here, this was a better bowl, still coming up a bit short. And a better bowl than David I meant, as he sailed way past the jack here. And let's see if he can redeem himself with the second bowl here. This is coming in quite nicely. The weight seems a bit heavy still. And I stand corrected, it comes up just short here on the right-hand side of your screen.
Kerry, of course, from the Windsor Lawn Bowling Club, so that might be why some of you might not know who he is, because Ontario is gigantic, and so I'm not sure if he's going to be playing in many tournaments in Eastern Ontario. And on the flip side of that, we've got David Jeffries from up near Ottawa in Goleta, so some of you might not know him just because he might not be making the trek down to southwestern Ontario. So opposite ends of the borders, basically, here.
Beauty of Ontario right there.
Mm-hmm. One thing we still need is that high-speed train going from Ottawa to Windsor just to save time instead of 47 hours on the road if you try to drive.
As David comes up just short here, even in front of Kerry's short bowl.
Good morning, Leo Dusablon, tuning in from big old Manitoba. This is, in fact, still round-robin play, so this is, I would say, the last round for the guys, but it's not. So some guys will be done after this. Others still need to finish half their game. So on opening day, their last round got rained out. So half of them finished, half of them didn't. There's 57 minutes left in that game for time purposes. So some folks will be playing another round after the women finish theirs. Some folks will be done their round robin after this. So we've got this round, the women's round after this. The men play their final 57-minute rain-out game. Then we move into tiebreakers, then we move into quarterfinals, and then tomorrow we've got semis and finals. Flo Silvestro, watching those orange bowls. Nice to have you on the stream here, Florence. District chair up in District 16, or used to be at least. And what is the rest of your streaming? So we will be probably streaming the women's round after this. I don't think we're going to bother streaming the last 57 minutes of the men's game.
Because especially on rink 1 here, I was watching it on Tuesday, and the score was 20-14, I believe. So it could even finish on one end, making it a 5-minute game.
Yep.
Which could be quite tough for streaming purposes. Getting all these cameras set up and everything for 5 minutes is not ideal. But as always, I'll keep you updated. By I mean Alec, a communications guy here at Bulls Canada, in charge of most of the social media. Try to keep you as updated as I can here as the day goes on.
Not 100% sure if we'll be streaming tiebreakers. It probably depends on who's in the tiebreakers, because we wouldn't want to have a tiebreaker game, then the winner play a quarterfinal game on the same rink.
Right.
So we might take the tiebreakers off just so that way we don't need to worry about reusing rinks, and then come back for the quarterfinals this afternoon. And as for timing of streaming games, well, it depends on if we have tiebreakers and how long they take. As if 2 people are tied, it's a full-length game. If 3 people are tied, we get into mini games, half games. So can't really give you a time on when we'll be back. And there are a couple of absolutely gorgeous dogs coming along here. I noticed in Port Credit when we were streaming, it was very dog friendly, and looking behind us here, I see a husky, a golden retriever, and something else.
Not a husky, Jake. Calm down here a bit. Big husky fan.
I am. We have a husky at home, and I love her.
As Jake is standing up here to get a better view of the scoreboard, as I did miss this end, unfortunately.
7-5 is the score right now.
That is what we have, so
means
that's...
they haven't updated it, so we will hang on here. Kerry definitely scored 1, as he has the Matt and Jack, so I think it's safe to assume 1 for Ontario 6, and possibly more once they update the score at the other end.
We'll start with the 1 here, and even if it's just a 1, that did break David's momentum here, as he did start making a comeback. Thank you, Jake, as he switches the camera angle for you folks. But yeah, so David was starting to come back here, and he really slowed down Kerry's momentum. So it's nice for Kerry to grab an end back here and try to grab control of this game once again.
John Seitman saying, let's be honest, it's singles. There's going to be tiebreakers. Probably. It would be strange if there wasn't. With 4 groups of 6, the top 2 advance, and if anyone has the same record in the top 2, then we get into tiebreakers. So whether you're 5-0, 4-1, same record means we're going for tiebreakers. Mark's saying he's pretty sure Kerry got 4 last end. We will hold you to that, because it does say 11-5 on the scoreboard, so you are correct.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Big help.
Kerry's holding 1 at the moment. Not sure if you can see the Jack on screen there yet.
Not quite here. Just
takes a few ends for the scoreboard to move, but
even after that, it would we can't see the Jack on the screen, unfortunately. Camera angle is not quite there.
So the Jack is probably just an inch below off screen.
Probably not even an inch, as I believe Kerry does have shot for now, but it's very hard to tell.
Yeah, they're very close. Dave is sailing through. That ball's in the ditch. Not sure if he was looking to wing in off of, or if he was looking to take out, or what his plan was there, but that was a little wide, a little heavy. So 3 balls on the green, 2 white ones, 1 orange one. I think I agree with you that it's probably 1 white ball that's counting right now.
Right. As this is coming in real hot as well. Almost hopping over the ditch wall there.
I am not sure what Kerry was trying to do there. Grab the jack.
Same thing with David, eh? It seemed to be
ball.
similar strategy here, just on the other side.
Kerry played with a lot more weight than Dave did, so I feel like he was trying to pick the bowl, which seems kind of strange to me as a strategy, but teach their own.
Ooh,
And there
that's
we
a nice
go.
wick off there towards the jack.
So David Jeffries is 100% lying 1 right now with that last bowl that he got a good rub in off of. Rule number 1 in bowls, if there's a wall, use it. So that's what he did. Weight doesn't really matter at that point, and Kerry's hucking weight here again. Fire at will. Bing. Jack in the ditch, bull in the ditch, 3 to Kerry. No, leave the jack there. Leave the jack there.
Just leave it there?
Yep.
Okay, thank you. You'll have to get a marker to put where it is.
As our unofficial official umpire Jake Shuknik here from the umpire booth.
Do you have the, can you tell if I hit the jack with my ball? Yeah. I did, yeah. That's live. The white one's live. Was it my ball that hit the jack?
It was Kerry's ball that hit the jack on the way through.
So Jake, you want to explain what happened there? Why you had to intervene?
Yeah, so that was fun for off-camera viewers. So Kerry threw a drive, ripped in off of Dave's bowl and grabbed the jack and put it in the ditch. So Dave's bowl went in the ditch, the jack went in the ditch, and Kerry's bowl went in the ditch. And our marker, this might have been a new scenario for her, so she wasn't quite sure what to do. So she was going to pick the jack up, which I said, no, leave it there. It's still in bounds. It is about 6 inches to the right of the number 1 in the ditch. Sorry, I should say to the left of the number 1.
Yeah, to the right for the players, to the left for the reviewers.
Yeah. Kerry's bowl, the toucher that's in the ditch, is about 10 inches from the out of bounds marker in the ditch, so it's a fair ways away. And
On the left-hand side of your screen as well.
Yep, and then Dave Jeffries' bowl wasn't a toucher, so it was in the ditch and it got taken out. And so a lot of the players in the marker were asking for clarification on what just happened there. So I
This is
Dave Jeffries just draws the ditch cold for shot. Wow.
Oh, it is a shame we can't get this camera angle.
Yeah,
As that was the beautiful
beautiful.
shot here.
Draws within about 1.5 inches of the plinth. So 1 to Dave Jeffries on a ditch draw. Unbelievable. But yeah, as the players were coming down, they were asking who hit the jack, who's in the ditch, who's live, who's not. So fortunately, we were here to get a good angle. We could confirm what happened. But
And that is Jake being modest. He said we. It was all Jake, as he was very quick to jump on the situation. And if he wasn't here, this could have got a bit messy.
it probably could have. And to be honest, it should be the marker that says or doesn't say. We really shouldn't have any say whatsoever. But with some rookie markers here, we're happy to help out where we can just to
Exactly.
keep folks honest.
As that was 1 for David, as I just changed the score here, making it 6-11 here for David. Or no, pardon me. 11-6 for Kerry, as
For
David got the
Lucier.
point on the last end.
Filmshare 1 saying it's interesting watching the shadow of the bowler in the next rink. So next rink we have, oh, I know who you're talking about now here. You're probably watching Saskatchewan's Daryl Hanoski. So I learned this about halfway through the Pairs and Fours week. So Daryl's been playing for, I don't even know, 20 years, 30 years, something like that. But he had an injury, and so he had to adapt his delivery. Something happened with his ankle on his left foot, I believe. So in order to keep bowling, he had to change his delivery drastically. So now he steps forward with the same foot as his bowling arm, which is opposite of what you're taught. So he steps forward with his right foot and bowls with his right hand, which makes it look kind of goofy, to say the least. But it's the only way he's able to do it and still play, just due to the injury he suffered in his left foot. So looks kind of strange when you're looking at the shadow, if you're able to see him next rink throughout this game. But he's very effective with it, and he played fairly well in the Pairs and Fours. He was getting, I think, a bronze medal, Saskatchewan B did, in the fours, and he's still trucking along here in the singles. Mike Pichuli calls him Bocce Man. Good morning, Mike Petuli, tuning in from Saskatchewan. He was here all week playing in the fours as well. And apologies for the amount of stress we've put you through with the para stuff. That was a surprise this week to find out our experts from Australia are no longer coming. Last minute backed out on us, so that was less than ideal, and I'm sure you and all of the other classifier in training folks are probably not too excited to find out last minute that surprise our experts aren't coming to train you, so we can't really bring you to Windsor anymore. Game at hand here. Dave Jeffries holding 1. 3 bowls, all almost identical weight. Carey's third to come. At least this time we finally have an end that you can see on TV.
Right.
Off camera.
Yeah, exactly.
And what a shot from Carey. Just chips David's out. I think that's 1 to Carey now. That was a heck of a bowl. Tear face, tear face, tear face from Mike. We are keeping your application on file, so hopefully next year we can get more para bowlers to our para events. That way we can bring those folks from Australia back.
Did we get a scores change here?
You know, that's a good point. It is 11 to 6 on the scoreboard still, so I think we're okay as far as the marker.
Pardon me, I meant the actual score there from our rink, I believe, changed. He's now wearing an Ontario shirt.
Well, we have a coach back there, I believe, and Dave Burrows is a coach who's sitting
Oh,
down.
that might be, yeah, coach here. As he did adjust the jack on the first jack throw the end here. Was wondering, didn't mean to cut you off. It just took me by surprise here to see another Ontario shirt coming onto the rink. And
I wonder who he's coaching, as both players here are
right.
Ontario. But yeah, so for our para event in Windsor, September 11 to 14, we've got 9 participants, 4 visually impaired, 5 physically impaired. Hopefully next year we can double or triple those numbers so we can bring back the IBD experts, train classifiers here in Canada, and fly in Mike Petuli and a bunch of others who applied to be technical classifiers, which is a really cool thing to have and a cool thing to start. So I'm excited to do that hopefully next year once we get the numbers up. This year with Pearson Airport being absolute chaos, as well as COVID still a very real concern for those who are immunocompromised. It just wasn't in the stars, I guess.
Right.
As Dave Jeffries just sailed through, was looking to rub his in a touch.
As we see Carey measuring here, the bowler's measures, I like to call it, with the fingers placed close to the chest, trying to figure out who's shot.
The finger dance.
The finger dance. Very interesting.
From this angle, I would favor 1 white bowl, would you?
Yeah, I think so too. That one right in front of the jack there.
Yeah, yep.
As we'll see what Carey has to say about that. Maybe making it an obvious shot or adding to his score here. As he is drawing very nice here, cutting in just underneath, almost throwing an identically weighted bowl.
I don't think that one's in the count, though. Great effort, but I don't think so. They're calling an umpire. Is that Dwayne Hawk?
That is Dwayne, yes.
Dwayne the legend. And they kicked out that white one already, so it is just a measure between white and orange. Well, Andy, since you misspelled my name, I'm not sure if I'll answer that, but I guess I'll be nice.
Oh.
Shots fired. Just kidding. Just kidding. Any idea where para championships will be next year? Well, that's a good question. We're still in the open bidding process, so right now I'm waiting on clubs to bid on hosting championships next year. So we're not assigning provinces anymore, as that has sort of backfired over the years with clubs not being able to, clubs not having volunteers, clubs not having capacity, not enough rinks, what have you. So now it is an open bidding process. Any club can bid on hosting any event provided you meet the minimum requirements. So for example, the majors, you need 2 greens, so you might need to co-host with another club if you only have 1 green, but open to bids. So until October 1st, any club that wants to host an event, whether it's para or otherwise, head on over to Bowls Canada, check out our news releases, and you'll find one for 2023 bidding now open. There'll be a link in there where you can fill out the survey, the questionnaire, bid on whatever event you want to host, or events if it's multiple. And then we will evaluate them in October and decide where we're going for all of our championships next year. So Dwayne has rolled the white one out, which I believe means the white one is shot. So all of you folks tuning in here, James, Sarah, might be time to go for that eye doctor test that you're supposed to do every other year. Shots fired.
As it is now 12-6, pardon me, as I forgot to adjust the score here. It is 12-6 for Carey here.
Mark chiming in saying it's white. I'm sure Mark's always cheering for white. Opening bowl from Carey, just slipping by the jack, not quite a toucher. James will blame the measuring tape. Well, I appreciate you blaming the measuring tape and not the quality of the camera. Thanks, James. Sarah saying terrible camera angle.
There it is.
There it is. Someone had to.
I tried my best there this morning. I was on the rafters, half asleep.
That is true. We were here till 9:30 last night.
Yep.
Long day making up that makeup game that the women got rained out. So started at 8 a.m. here till 9:30. Go home and vegetate for a couple hours and back here again. So I'm going to say again, huge thanks and shout out and props to all the volunteers who are here, as well as the umpire crew and the greenskeepers for basically going sleepless, being here, keeping things rolling all week, all 2 weeks really. John, you're not wrong. It is the way of a bowler to blame everything except their own eyes. Here's a good bowl from David Jeffries.
Very nice bowl here. It's threatened to fall towards the jack, but just leaning there.
Just holding up.
Leaning bowl of Burlington, I believe I called it in the pairs.
The leaning bowl of Burlington. Hanging out there.
This is coming in quite nicely here, just splitting here the uprights, as I like to call them.
Field goal.
Right in between the jack and Dave's bowl.
That is now the best back, so that's not a terrible place to be. And there we go. The leaning bowl has fallen over.
Fallen over towards the jack here.
If it would have done that 30 seconds earlier, Carey might have clipped it on his way through. But Dave has just dropped another bomb. Here's good for two. So Carey's got some options here. He can draw it off, trail for two, jack in the ditch for two. Any kind of weight into this, as long as you get something, you're okay. But there's a pretty decent-sized hole there that he found with his last one. So I'm not sure if he's going to be wanting to play any kind of weight at all. Just looking to draw, and he's coming up short. Well short.
Well short, yeah.
So I believe that's going to be 2 to DJ to make it 12 to 8.
I believe he does have another bowl.
Based off of where Carey's finished, that's probably right in his...
As he's going
vision.
ditch side here.
Yeah, right in his line's eye. And hanging out well wide, he found the point of no return.
Yep, as we now see why the players have not been going ditch side here very often.
Well weighted bowl though.
As this is 2, right, Jake?
I think so.
Yes.
Yes.
2 for Dave, as it makes the match 12-8 here. As Clyde, as Carey has been in control of this match, but it has been going back and forth now as it's progressing.
I mean, Clyde could be a new nickname.
Clyde.
It is CL on the scoreboard.
I
Right?
think
So
that's why I said Clyde,
Clyde?
but besides that, I don't even know a Clyde, I don't think.
I can't say I know a Clyde either. Well, we can call him that now, and then we'll know one.
There's a Clyde in the chat. Drop a comment here. I'd love to see where you're from.
Charlie Taylor throwing shots fired. Hey, Mark, Carey doesn't look as good without us carrying him, eh? LOL. They played in the fours in Ontario, the Open Provincial Fours, and so Charlie's having a quick jab at Carey, saying, doesn't look as good without his teammates to carry him. Yikes.
It's quite the morning here. Everybody's awake, taking shots at their own teammates.
Yep, I love that. Welcome to Burlington. Nobody's safe.
And speaking of Carey here, as he throws his first bowl here, as the Might be time to change that scoreboard back down as we do have a shorter jack here.
That's probably a good idea.
Thank you.
I think it's the check mark that makes it
Yeah.
officially move. But I could be wrong. You know, everybody says they love they call it the gentleman's game, the friendliness of shaking hands and everybody being respectful in bowls. But I'm going to throw in a counter argument and say I think that we're too friendly. I kind of want to see some more trash talking and some jabs. I love that about other sports. Watching, when I think of basketball, watching Kevin Garnett just trash talk everybody, try to get under their skin. I want to see more of that in bowls. And I know that some people would disagree and they like the friendly aspect, but next time I play someone, I'm going to have to bring out my inner douchiness and just see how much of a dick I can be to throw you off your game.
That's funny. I did talk about it with Lois here yesterday on the stream. We talked about how I was just surprised to see DJ and I forget his opponent. Pardon me. They were clapping for each other's shots, giving each other high fives, talking about their weekend and all that. And to me, I've never experienced that in a sport, so it was quite unique in that sense.
Mm-hmm.
And Lois, I guess, reassured me that this was normal behavior here in bowls, as it is quite a friendly game to a certain degree, naturally.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it was very interesting to see. I don't think I'm opposed to it, as I am an advocator for it. It's just a unique quirk that this game has that I have not seen before in my previous sports.
James has a good question. After a few ends of long, why do you think Kerry went short? My guess is that maybe he was thinking DJ starting to get a little too comfortable with the long ends and trying to change it up, throw him off his groove, would be my guess, because it is 12-8. 4-point spread, which isn't huge by any means, so maybe he just noticed that Dave Jeffries was starting to pick it up.
As I believe there will be 2 for Kerry here as he throws that last one, and I believe he caught that ridge on the ditch side, making it go straight through his target here.
John Seitman, I can see that BC has 13, Nova Scotia has 7. To give you an update on Keenan Lau versus Steve Bezanson over on rink 3. So apparently Kerry's been bowling very well, but his opponents have been making great shots when they need to. Mark is suspecting that Kerry's had a 7-point lead in each of his games he lost. And did we happen to see what the count was here?
I just put the 2 for Kerry as a.
for Kerry?
I thought it was a bit obvious, but then again, that's coming from the tennis player. I warn you, so might not have been as obvious as I thought.
I was going to say your eyes are as good as the rest of us, but I probably shouldn't say that either.
No, as I do wear glasses 24/7 here, I got poor vision, so another knock on me. But I do believe it was 2 for Kerry.
Yeah, you are correct. I shouldn't chirp on you too much. We all have bad eyes. It's just a common trend now. As you get older, find like 2 people that don't wear glasses for reading or for anything, right?
Right.
It just doesn't exist.
As we do have a shorter jack here compared to a couple ends before, as
Mm-hmm.
maybe a strategy change here from Kerry.
You might be onto something, James, asking why did Kerry go short, but he went short that end and picked up a deuce, so might be onto something, as his opening bowl here is not a terrible starter in the ballpark. So Dave just about matched Kerry, coming just inside for 1 orange. What do you think came first, the color or the fruit?
The color or the fruit? I never heard that, I don't think. Like the color of the fruit?
Well, so like the
Wait.
word orange, was it first used on the fruit or first used to describe the color?
Oh, wow. Jeez, I don't think I'm prepared for this, Jake. I do not think I'm prepared for this. I'll come back to you with that
Okay,
one.
all right.
I have to think about it a bit more.
Looking at Dave Jeffries' oranges out there. More like tangerines, I guess, for how big they are. And I love hearing that from the marker as Kerry just chased his bowl down. The marker said it was too close, I couldn't tell, and they didn't want to guess at it. That is the best answer you will ever hear from a marker because you never want to have them guess and find out they're wrong.
Right.
So if they don't know, to say I don't know is one of the most preferred answers you'll ever hear.
And I'm going to go with color to come back to
You
you.
going with color?
Yep.
Mark said that's a good question. Any reason why color?
Well, I feel like as the human species, we were aware that we were able to see different colors before we discovered the fruit. And especially if we look at just oranges, I believe is a worldwide color choice. And I don't believe that when the oranges, the fruit, were discovered, that it was known around the world. So for that reason, I believe that we named the color orange before we named the fruit orange.
It's funny because I was going to go with the exact opposite because the way my brain worked is I picture people speaking different languages crossing paths. So whether it's indigenous people with English speakers or
Right.
elsewise. And so when they took an orange and said orange, I feel like people misinterpreted it to be the color as opposed to the fruit that they were trying to describe. And then somehow now just both got the same title. So I think it was the fruit that was named first by some sort of tribe or clan or something who just called the fruit orange.
Interesting. But just to warn the viewers here, Jake does believe that he can hit a 95-mile-per-hour fastball in the MLB. He believes he has a good chance of hitting that, so I'll just put that out there and let the viewers decide that if you are right or not.
That's fair. If you're going to listen to me, then asterisk. Read the caution tape at the bottom, I guess.
That's a nice drive coming in here. I don't believe that did shake up the head a bit, but I don't believe it changed the count, as Kerry might be sitting on 2 here. One in a measure, I believe, as Kerry calls over head umpire George Cubis. If George measures, you know it's going to be done right.
That's for sure. And George is calling for Dwayne to say, Dwayne, come on down. So we might be a little while. And yes, Daryl, you did jump into a philosophical stream with Jake and Alec, and you are about to be enlightened on all things philosophy. Mark, good question. What about Red Delicious apples? Red Delicious is like a brand, right? Like that's like a type of apple, Red Delicious?
Is it? Yeah. I thought it was like a Macintosh was the
Oh, is
red
it?
apple.
Red Delicious is like a type of apple when you go in the grocery store. They have
Interesting.
sections for like Granny Smith, Gala, Fiji, and then like Red Delicious is a thing.
Well, my theory on color being exposed, or humans being exposed to color before fruit, still stands. So I would still go for the color, and Jake would naturally not agree with me and go with the fruit. So
John Seidman, get Googling.
that's a very careful measure here from our umpires.
As we've got Dwayne and George. Dwayne on the jack, George on the bowl, telling him line up a little bit to your left, a little bit to your right, and away we go. To further your enlightenment, Daryl, is cereal soup?
No, not this again.
It's my favorite question.
It's not a question.
It's such a good question.
It's not a question.
Cold soup exists. Definition of soup is basically just like a liquid substance that you eat. Going back, orange out.
Orange out, meaning?
Orange bowl is shot, but they already took one out, I believe, right?
Right, so I believe it was just the one here for Kerry.
One for CL.
One for CL is correct. He was looking for that second one. hence the measure from the umpires.
So someone told me that Kerry brought like 5 sets of bowls with him to this event, which seems astronomical, as I don't know if people brought 2 sets of bowls and he's got a bunch. I don't know how true that is. That could just be a rumor.
Right.
But if that is true, I feel like that would just mess with your head.
I did see him with 2 different sets of bowl for trial ends this morning, so I wouldn't be surprised if he did bring 5 sets, as he seems quite particular, pardon me, with his bowls.
I think that would just get in my head, and I would always be second guessing, did I use the right set?
Right.
So I'm happy to just bring one and say this is the one I'm using. It's not soup. Soup doesn't have marshmallows in it. I mean, soup could have marshmallows in it. Who are you to say that soup can't have marshmallows, Sarah? You've never had my famous marshmallow soup, I guess.
And John Simon, I do not appreciate the research that you had just conducted for us, as that does prove me wrong. But I can't argue with fact. Sarah, you are absolutely right. Cereal is not a soup.
It 100%
There's no
is.
doubt in my mind that it could possibly be characterized as a soup.
100% is.
As I believe I could make a 45-minute podcast on why it's not a soup, but we're not going to go there, as we have some very good bowls going in front of our eyes here.
Should have done that last night. 45 minutes with Alec on cereal versus soup, the big debate. As Kerry has rolled a lovely bowl here to try and put some pressure on Dave Jeffries, 15-8. Kerry's looking for a magic 6 to finish the game, while Dave's still looking for a bundle.
As he does go ditch side here, which is interesting considering the track record of these guys, and it's been working, or this one worked out very well for him, as I think he does leak a bit wide. Still a shot for Kerry here with the white bowl.
I probably wouldn't change anything if I'm Kerry with this bowl here. And Daryl, I do like to live dangerously. Take a walk on the wild side. Do 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 do. Probably shouldn't sing too much or I'll get flagged for copyright infringement. We had that at the youth actually when we were streaming on Facebook. Someone had music playing in the background and it was super faint, but Facebook picked up on it.
Oh, is that right, eh?
And flagged the audio and said copyright infringement.
Jeez. You gotta be careful, as
Ooh, just missing.
very nice bowl here from David, just a bit heavy carrying through, as it's still shot for Kerry here.
I would expect he would want something back in that pocket of oranges back there. Not sure how he's going to get there, though. Sticking with his forehand.
As he decides to let his bowl go on the mat here and take a walk to the head to see what's going on, as he seemed unsure of what he wanted to do. And it was only a short walk, as he only went halfway up to the head here before coming back on the mat here and resettling down for a shot.
Probably a wise idea to not spend too much time walking back and forth, because that 2-hour, 15-minute time limit will come
Right.
up quick if you're not paying attention.
Although just a 15-minute difference, we have been seeing these players play a bit quicker.
Mm-hmm.
Not uncomfortably quick by all means, just not taking as long on the head per se. Or at the head, I should say.
It's a well-placed bowl from Kerry to get back into those oranges, and Davis on the high side just missing it all, so that'll be 1 to Kerry here again. As Mark, you've nailed it. Kerry's strategy of changing to the short jack has been working pretty well for him so far, as he's
It has.
collecting multiple ends in a row here.
As we will stay on this camera angle for a bit here, just so we can see the full head here on display. As Kerry's starting to kick them in here. So it is 16-8 here for Kerry on David.
Sarah Van Stein says she Googled it. Cereal is not a soup. I don't trust Google then. Go to Bing.
Oh, then if you don't trust Google, then the color came before the fruit.
Yeah, that's incorrect as well. Agreed. Fair enough. I'll stand by that.
As we
Go to Ask Jeeves.
change the camera angle here, as we have a very short jack here, as it is even off the frame. Oh no, it's not off the frame. It could just creep in here on the top.
So, John, you're asking about Pat Bird versus Brandon Watson. That game's done, and I believe Pat Bird won, as the mat was at the hog line almost the entire game, which is Pat's specialty. So, unofficially, I'm saying Pat Bird won that game.
He looked to be in control.
Yeah. And yeah, this is a very minimum length jack. This is going to be fun to commentate on.
I don't believe that. Did they ask for a jack measure? Yeah,
They
I almost
did.
expected that, as the jack is very short here. Do we still have the team of Dwayne and George going to handle this, I believe?
We sure do.
Dynamic duo,
Indeed.
as we see George creeping onto the screen right about now.
So while they measure this to see if it's legal distance, you mentioned the time limit and talking about how 2 hours and 15 minutes is really only shaving 15 minutes off, but I'm surprised how many complaints we've had about that for people saying we need to go back to 2:30.
Right.
When last night, when we were playing round 5 for the women, I say round 5, it was the 5th round of
Right.
the day, I guess, their 3rd game. There were almost half the games done in like an hour 10, hour 15,
Yeah.
because none of them wanted to be there that long playing under their lights, so people were actually playing quick. And so there were a couple games that went the distance and timed out, but the vast majority were done in half the amount of time as they usually would be, which just further kind of proves my point that bowlers will use every second of the clock they can, and that we realistically could have time limits for singles here to be like an hour and a half or 2 hours, and people can get the time in if they actually play quick. And so that's sort of a knock on all the singles players out there, that here in Canada, for whatever reason, people like to go slow and take their time, and it drives me nuts.
Speak it with your chest, Jake.
I will. It's something that I think's got to change.
As I believe the jack was too short here on the jack measure, as now we're taking no chance here, almost throwing the jack all the way down to the tee. As I believe it is on the tee. Even.
It is on the tee. Good eye. Mike.
Oh no, as I say oh no because I am moving the scoreboard around and to no avail. Should I still move it up, Jake, or?
Yeah, I guess go up and we'll be able to see more of the bottom.
It does take quite a time to get adjusted,
Yeah,
but we'll...
we'll do our best to move the scoreboard for you.
Exactly.
So John's coming in with Merriam-Webster Dictionary says cereal doesn't meet the definition of soup. A soup needs to have meat, fish, or vegetable stock. And Mike Patil saying you don't put fish in your cereal, John? I wouldn't mind having some steak bits in my cereal first thing in the morning.
As this is a very entertaining comment section here.
Yeah.
As I thank you very much for keeping me very happy here, as I have some nice bowl in front of me and some funny people in the comments here making it very entertaining. As this is a very nice bowl from Kerry. Speaking of entertainment, as you can't really see that on screen, but it is about an inch, maybe an inch and a half from the jack.
Yeah, so let's do our best to describe things here. So the jack is probably 2.5 feet, would you say, directly behind the orange bowl.
Yep.
Kerry's white bowl that you can just make out of the bottom of your screen, maybe, is just to the right of the jack, as Dave just lets one fly into the ditch. So that Kerry's bowl at the very bottom there is about jack high, just to the
Right
Right.
on your screen.
right on the screen of the jack. So that'll give you some sort of indication of where the jack is actually lying. As Kerry's last bowl here comes in about 10 inches past the jack and 2 feet to the left. So he's lying probably 3 right now. Well, 2 in a luck. Fruit Loops and vegetable stock are a champion's breakfast.
That is... I guess you do have your fruits and vegetables right off the go.
Yeah, exactly.
Could even have a V8 with that cereal
There
then
we
if we're
go.
going there.
Daryl, can we get the nutritionist on that to be recommending that for bowler's breakfast?
Com Game Athletes.
Yeah.
V8 with Fruit Loops.
Next time we go to a breakfast place, I'm going to ask for the bowler's breakfast and specifically ask for
Right.
What are you talking about? Carey is chasing this bull down. It's his last one. He's lying, I think, 2 and a look, and this one looks to be right on
Oh,
it
this
as well.
looks to be
So this
very
is
nice here. Yeah, as he draws it
second
in
shot
almost
easily.
perfectly on the jack here. Is if you would take a 45-degree angle and go down maybe an inch, that would be the position of the jack to give you reference there from bottom white bowl that you see completely on your screen.
So last ball to come from Dave. He already let one rip, and it went into the ditch. He's letting it fly again. Here we got a drive. Playing on the ditch hand side, just through the port.
Ooh, as it almost skips out of the green. As maybe another perfect end from Carey here as he puts up 4 fingers.
From this angle, I probably wouldn't have said 4 for sure. I probably would want to measure one of those, but it's close. That could be a huge boon for Carey to get to 20, but sometimes 20 is an unlucky number because you sit there forever.
Right.
Dave is kicking out 2. Taking a look. Wants to have a measure between the 4th bowls, and so they're going to call for an umpire measure. So it's 3 for sure to Carey with a measure for this 4th one, which from my angle, it's close. It's close.
It is very close, and this will bring, if this is a 4, this will bring him at 20, which is not ideal for David here, as I don't blame him that he wanted a measure right away.
Yeah, for sure. You know, James, I have had a Caesar for breakfast before, so having that bowler's breakfast with V8 probably isn't that different.
As Dwayne puts his really cool, what do you call those, Jake?
Yeah, wedges. He's got the
Wedges,
3D
yeah.
printer custom-made wedges out.
And he put our logo and a Canadian flag on them. He made them 100% himself through his computer and his 3D printer.
Dwayne is probably the most creative bowler I've ever met, from the 3D printer to developing the Lego Lawn Bowls Facebook thing, which
Yeah.
we got contacted by Lego Canada to say, put us in touch with this guy because he is bringing a lot of visibility to Lego. So they then did an interview with him on, I think, CTV with, I don't know who it was from Lego, but I think he said he got like a boatload of free Lego pieces that they shipped to him to be like, thanks for promoting Lego, here's a bunch to use. So if you haven't seen it, go on Facebook and check out.
Yeah, please do it. It's very neat, especially as a Lego fan myself.
It's a very unique idea. I'm not sure who came up with it or why, but it's very intriguing. Our pleasure, Mark. We are happy to commentate with such entertaining commentary. And so it is white one, so that'll be a roll the dice of 4.
4. So 2 perfect ends here in the same matches, which is quite impressive to see here, judging by the caliber of these players.
Unfortunately, we don't have our perfect end pins with us. Otherwise, we could just pop 2 over to Carey at the end of this game and say, here you go. But
I have them.
do you?
I'm pretty sure I do.
So we probably could give him 2 perfect end pins.
Let me
if-
check my bag here, my
if he wanted
Mary
them.
Poppins bag.
Which is a very popular question we get in the office email is, do you get perfect end pins for singles? To which we do, but they come at a price. I think the perfect end pins are, what, $7?
I would not know, Jake. That would be my coworker who would take
So
care
we
of
had
that.
I'm pretty sure they're $7, which is more or less just like the cost of the pin and shipping. So we do have 2 perfect end pins that we could just toss out there to Carey if he wanted them, and $14 for the cost of them. Which is I don't know why you would ever need more than 1, to be honest. Like, it's cool to get 1, but I don't know why you'd ever need more than 1.
Right.
Shout out to Bob Pring on his way through as he's asking us a question, aren't you tired of talking? Never. Never. Bob did a stellar job, I'm told, on the Kojiko broadcast for the men's pairs final. Kojiko's down here, and it was Bob and his wife having a time on their stream.
Good chat there that they were having. Kind of a neat setup here. They had microphones going and a nice monitor in front of them.
So Carey started us off with a bang here. His first bowl just 10 inches or so behind the jack. That is almost a perfect opening bowl. From here on out now, I would probably just be playing position. I wouldn't want to make that head any bigger. I
Right.
wouldn't want to give Dave anything. Carey is doing the exact opposite of what I recommended, though. James, you're correct. Because as a bowler, I always want as many pins as possible. Is why you'd want more than one perfect end pin, I guess. Fair enough. Fair enough, James.
I can't agree with that point very much.
Yeah. I should give you my box. Dave
Ooh,
Jeffries.
as he puts the hammer down here.
I'm not going down without a fight.
Says David.
You are correct, Daryl, that singles is a strange one to give a perfect end for. It's infinitely easier to get a 4 in singles than a 6 in pairs or 8 in fours. Absolutely, it is much easier to get a perfect end in singles than any other discipline. But since we've set the precedent, we've started giving them out in singles. It'd be weird now to change that and say, too bad, after we've already given out a bunch.
Right. And it's still relatively impressive as well, regardless of if it's quote-unquote easier than the pairs and fours.
Yeah, yeah. Feather in the hat. Something.
Yeah. I see Jake says it because he can do it every end if he wanted to, but
Oh,
he just chooses not to, just to keep it fair.
I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say that. Especially not now. My one tournament a year, I don't know if I could do it at all.
And speaking to that, we had a fun tournament for the youth championship, and Jake was out of the first round.
Yeah, exactly.
And so was I.
Exactly.
So I can't say much, but
My only excuse is that I played Eric Gallipo and Steve McCarahan as
yep,
starting team.
that is a tough,
They
tough
made it to the
starting
final,
team.
so
As both players went up to the head here to see the situation at hand.
Daryl's correct, channeling our inner Oprah. You get a pin. You get a pin. You get a pin. Sometimes I feel like that's what you have to do at the office because you're the one filling orders. So I feel like that's basically half your job is just.
Yep.
You get a rule book. You get a handbook.
And a little looking for the ricochet here.
Not quite working.
Or the wick, I should say.
Yeah. So I do remember Dave Jeffries back in 2017. No, it would have been 2018. Before I moved back from Ottawa, I played in the district singles playdowns, and I played against Dave Jeffries. And even though I was up quite a handful, and I think I was at 20 as well, it took me an extra, I think, 10 ends to get to 21 because Dave Jeffries just would not go down without a fight, and so he was making drive after drive and draw after draw to prolong the game.
Right.
And here he is now, currently lying, I think, 2, draw for 3, not going down without a fight.
As that hit the ridge, I believe, the elusive ridge there on the ditch side, and just went straight through, as that, I believe, was 2 for David, bringing the score to 20-10. Still in favor of Clyde Curtis. No, sir, Carey.
Clyde Curtis.
I was going to say Curtis.
I dig that. Everything but.
Everything but Carey.
Andy Caldwell saying Carey would look great if he made those perfect end pins into earrings.
Oh, you know what? There's possibility for that.
We very well could do that. You could just wear those as earrings right now. Sarah made it to round 3 in that fun tournament at the juniors, taken out by the Stanier Bros, the champions. No shame there to go down to the people who win. For those of you who don't know, the youth championships have a fun tourney that's been going on for years now, where players, spectators, parents, anyone who's in the area can come on in, throw $10 in the hat, 2 bowl 4-end pairs.
Or $20, Jake.
Or $20 if you want to pick your teammate, that's true. $10 to be random, 20 to pick your team. Money goes in the hat, single knockout, straight knockout. Last one standing wins the pot. Short and sweet with 2 bowl pairs, 4 ends. It's over pretty quick, your games, but it seems each year there's 20, 30, 40 teams, so it takes a while to get through everybody.
As maybe Carey's feeling the pressure here, and as I say that, David comes even shorter here.
Mm-hmm. Dave Jeffries currently holding 1.
And another short pull here from Carey.
Another short pull here from Carey. Skipper Clyde on the rink. Dave's rolling just inside. That's good for 2. But that leaves a very nice wing bowl here if Carey wants to follow him down and wing in off of that orange bowl. Lots of opportunities. You just got to make sure you're here. And Carey's chasing this one down after 2 short bowls to start the end.
This does have a bit more.
Has more
weight
pace to it. Just grabbing the jack. I'm not sure that he stuck with it.
I believe it rolled even closer to Dave's ball as he is sitting again on 2. As if Carey's not careful here, this might get out of hand for him, as this comeback might be inevitable, as Thanos would say. That is now sitting 3, I believe, for David. As Carey does have 1 bowl left. See if he can take the end in the victory, or if he can just minimize the damage here.
So for any of you tuning into the chat, Sarah's asking, do adults play the JHPMP? So that is in reference to the fun tourney at the youth event. So back in, John, what year was it? 07? John Petulli started this fun tournament called the Jonathan Harrison Petulli Invitational Mixed Pairs Tournament, where basically all the junior players would just throw some money in a hat, play 2 bowl pairs, last one standing wins. And over the years, it's grown and grown and grown. So now all the parents, all the spectators, all the volunteers have a chance to play in it as well. So it's just sort of a fun, unofficial event now.
It's really fun.
Increases that social ability. So that is 1 to David Jeffries as he is sticking around again here, staying alive. Oh, Sarah's asking if they play the JH Pimp at the majors. No, we do not. So that is a junior-specific thing, as the youth is much more social. There's also a little more downtime to be able to do it usually. At the majors, I can't even fathom how long that would take to do, because there's 120 bowlers here. Once you factor in coaches, spectators, volunteers, we could be here for a full day trying to get that in.
Yeah, judging by the amount of spectators we had on finals day, if
Yeah.
all those would come down to play, we'd have a 200+ people
Yeah,
tournament, which would almost take the week to complete
Yeah.
by itself.
that would take a long time. Mike Petulli saying it was 07 that the JH Pimp was started, so my guess was close. It has grown though.
As the jack is up there in the scoreboard naturally, as it's going to probably take a couple minutes here
To
for the scoreboard to adjust.
readjust here. So opening bowl from David Jeffries. 3-4 feet through, Carey coming up, that's probably shot. You're not wrong, Mike Petulli. There would be a boatload of money if we ever did run that sort of event at the majors, though, because if there's 200 people here, that's like $2 grand if everybody played and only did the $10 entry, not the $20 entry. Dave Jeffries drawing it off, sticking around. The word that most people use to describe that would be pesky.
Pesky.
Just can't put it to bed, just can't get rid of him, just not going down without a fight. Pesky. Carey is trying, I don't know if that's finishing or not. From here, I would still favor that orange. It would be big money, Sarah, so next time we're at the majors, I can volunteer you to set that up and get that started if you'd like. So thank you for volunteering, Sarah.
Oh, thanks, Sarah.
It's
Jeez.
awfully nice of you.
Wow.
I know.
That's very nice of you, Sarah. Thank you.
I will watch your dog while you organize things, so I think that's a fair trade-off.
Wait for free? Good for you. That is a very good trade-off.
Well, it'll take like a full day to do it, so I'll just hang out with your dog for the day. You know. Yeah, Daryl would hate to be the person trying to organize that in a day or a night. So that's why we have told Sarah she can do it. So yeah, good stuff.
Well, we didn't tell Sarah. She volunteered. There's a difference.
Oh, that's true. Mike says I would not enjoy having to play like 20 games to win. That is fair. That is fair. You would be playing a long time for a piece of the pie. But that could be a fun practice day event when people arrive that first day for practice day. Because some people wouldn't want to play. They'd rather practice, but some people might, and so then it might not be everybody playing. Food for thought for next year, I suppose. Which, again, we don't know where events are next year, so if your club's interested, bid on hosting.
Mm-hmm.
I would love to be able to say we're going to Club XYZ in Province ABC, future home of the 2023 Canadian champion.
I think I know where that is, Jake. Here comes David here with his last orange bull here. Is coming out on the outside and
Outside.
just setting up shop back there, pardon me.
So we'll see if he's holding one. Kerry is taking off his hat and shaking hands. So they're shaking hands, that's it. Kerry's lying one, that's the game.
And just like that, it was from this camera angle, it does not look like Kerry did take it that easily. I thought it was going to be a measure for at least, but nonetheless, that is the game here with Kerry winning 21 to David's 11. As I change the final score here.
So as I try to pull up the schedule to see who is on rink one. We have Leanne Franklin and Janet Watson, I believe, as our next round coming up here. Which these lads were done early, so we have quite a bit of time. So, Jesse, I'm afraid that our cameras are set on the scaffolding that's behind here, and so we're not really going to be able to adjust those to be able to stream 2 games at once. It also wouldn't really line up just timing-wise, as the players are finishing ends at different times. I can tell you the score of that game, though, is Saskatchewan 10, which is Daryl Hanoski, and Alberta, Roy Riggy has 14. So it's 14-10 for Roy over Daryl, Alberta over Saskatchewan. Further on down, BC is 19, Nova Scotia is 13 on rink 3, so that's Keenan Lau over Steve Pazanson. And I stand corrected, Steve Pazanson just scored as the marker's updating the scoreboard. Not sure what she's updating it to, though. 19-15 now is the new score. And way down at the end, Ontario 15, Manitoba 12. That looks like a battle between Steve McCarahan and Brian Coleman. So Steve is up, it's either 15 or 16 to 12, can't quite see that far. So that is it. That's all from us for now. We will be back later with the women's match, probably around 10:30, 10:45. So we'll see you then.
And we are live. In 2022 Canadian Singles Championship, I'm Alec, joined by Jake here, and welcome back to those who are with us for the first match, and welcome to all our new viewers here as we have Ontario 3 playing against Saskatchewan 3. And Jake, if you could give the names of the players here, that'd be fantastic, because I do not have it in front of me.
So Ontario 3 is Leanne Franklin from the Heritage Greens Lawn Bowling Club in Kitchener. And Saskatchewan 3 is Janet Watson, who I believe is from the Regina Lawn Bowling Club. And as I pull up the standings here of both these players, they are in Pool 2. Janet is 0-4, looking for her first win still, and Leanne is 1-3. So this is the final round of the round robin. At this point, looking at the pools, this game does not really mean a whole lot for either player, but the experience under the belt is still going to be worthwhile for both of them, as Leanne's last bowl just coming through there. As we get started here, sorry for the delayed start. We had some COVID protocols we had to follow, unfortunately, but now that that is settled with, we can ease into this match here. I'm not entirely sure who's got blue bulls, who's got red
Well,
bulls.
see, that's what I was trying to figure out, Jake. Whoever has the blue bull, though, did throw a very nice one. I'm assuming since Saskatchewan was down here that this was Ontario shot.
So there's, what, 2 blue bulls, 1 blue bull taken out, and
2, so I believe it is 2 for Ontario. If I do suspect that she is picking up the jack there, as that is 2 for Ontario, bringing it to a 2-1 lead here after being down the single point after the first end here that we just missed on the streaming.
So, some fun facts about the players. Janet Watson is mother of Carter Brandon Watson, who are also competing here as well, and is also the aunt of Jordan Koss. So Jordan's playing in the women's singles. Her mom Lois and father Bo are also here spectating as well. So we've got some family-friendly cousins here for them. But then when we look at Leanne Franklin, her husband is marking, not this game, but a different game elsewhere. But she's also a former figure skating coach, and so she comes to us from a figure skating background. And what I find fascinating about that is that she was expecting there to be coaches out the wazoo when she first came to Lawn Bowls, and was kind of shocked that there's next to no coaching in bowls.
Right.
So she has taken up coaching herself and is going to be coming on down to Windsor Lawn Bowling Club at the Para Championships
Nice.
to direct and coach Louise McLean. So she's been working with Louise for the past little while, and will be down there supporting Louise at our inaugural Para Championships, which is pretty exciting. And so to wrap things up here, I can now tell that Leanne has blue bulls and Janet has red bulls, in case anybody did not pick up on that just yet.
2 of their first bull here going slightly past the jack 1, naturally being a lot deeper here. The bull of Saskatchewan there, the red one. As this is coming right on in here as it just misses it, cutting right underneath the jack here.
Pretty good effort to just skip on through. So this being the last round of the round robin for the women, after this, the work begins to determine tiebreakers. So top 2 from each pool advance. If there are any ties for first or second, then we get into some fun tiebreaker stuff, where they'll play either a full game or possibly mini games depending on how many people are tied. But before we get to tiebreakers for the women, the men need to finish off their half game. They got rained out on Monday night and didn't get to finish the game. Some of them did finish, but some of them didn't. So some guys will have a lengthy break, other guys will have a shorter break.
Now keep in mind this this new, or not new, sorry, this added match that we added at the end of pool play here for the match to finish their, or men's to finish their match, pardon me, is only 57 minutes, I heard?
Yeah.
Under an hour?
57 minutes.
So at least it's not the full, and it'll give enough time for the organizing committee here to figure out the tiebreakers and rink assignments and all that good stuff.
John Seitman, you're showing where you're from as he says good afternoon. It is still morning here, John, but good day to you as well.
Good day.
I said good day.
As we're on the tail end of the morning here, 11:22 local time here in Burlington.
And these matches are 2 hour and 15-minute time limits, as we have plenty of action to try and complete in a day. And apologies if you can hear whatever sort of chainsaw is going on over there, as it seems like there's construction going on right outside the Burlington Lawn Bowling Club.
As I believe both players were down at the hand. As we see Saskatchewan here coming in and throwing their last ball.
This is at least, I believe, the second Outdoor Singles National Championship Janet's played in, if not more. I do recall her playing in previous ones that I've been to. I can't remember if it was 2017 or 2018, but she's played in this event before, whereas Leanne, I'm pretty sure this is her first ever kick at the can for a national title, in lawn bowls at least. Can you tell how many we're raking up there? I see
Maybe the
several blues
right,
around the jack.
maybe even 4 for that back bull there. For that back blue one is just as long as the red one is. I'm not sure. I would like to put 4 on the board for a perfect 10 here, but I cannot confirm just yet here for the players.
Janet is helping us out by updating the scoreboard here for Ontario.
Thank you very much.
Trois. 6-1. So it was rolling the dice, picking up a 4 doozy.
Alright, there. That was for Ontario, correct? The
Correct.
4?
Yes. Daryl's chiming in. Sorry, I'll first read John's comment. Janet played in 2017 when it was an open and qualified for it in 2018 when it was in Regina. So she's played in a few. Thanks, John. And Daryl's letting us know Leanne Franklin's an awesome student of the game. She asks lots of great questions and is learning more all the time. Also looking tough for coaching credentials to help the VI bowlers. VI standing for visually impaired. And we are all the way back to the tee here. So we will do our best to describe where Jack is in relation to the bowl. So that bowl is coming up probably 3 feet short of the Jack. And 6 inches to the left of the center line, I would hazard a guess.
As I was sure, I set up the camera angles to see the tee down here, but apparently I missed the mark a bit, so apologies for that.
That's on me too for not letting you know where the tee was. So that's a tag team effort of
Not succeeding.
not succeeding. So go us, go team. We will endeavor to do better tomorrow.
And just for your information to all our viewers here, the scoreboard is not impeding the jack. The jack is out of the frame, so we will elect to keep the scoreboard down there, as it does take a while to update on your screen.
Not sure why that is, and I don't know how to change the setting there to
Right.
move the scoreboard quicker, because it moves quick on our end, just doesn't show on yours. Not sure why. Anywho, Leanne's second bowl is drawing to be within 1 foot short of the jack, I would guess.
Yeah, be a good guess.
Probably a good size 15 shoe could fit there. Right back to the center line though, so it's directly in front of the jack, probably blocking the view from Janet on the mat. And so Janet's second bowl is coming up just shorter than her first, but also a couple inches to the left of the center line. So it looks like everybody playing on this non-ditch hand is able to get right back to the center line,
Right.
which is encouraging. I will say I'm a big fan of the blue and the red to make it very easy to tell who is who on this ring.
Yeah, great contrast between the two. The classic blue versus red. This is almost an identical bowl here, and a very good one at that.
I believe these were the colors that had to be used at the Commonwealth Games as well, is that one team had to use blue bowls, one team had to use red bowls, and Janet's throwing a little bit of weight here, trying to split those blues. Just on the high side, but it might stick on as it goes past the into the ditch. Never mind.
For a second, it did look like it was going to hold on there, but
Big opportunity here for Leanne. She could possibly pick up a 4 here if she can draw another one for shot. Maybe nudge her blue in to get it a bit closer.
this weight's looking, as it just stops right in front of our eyes here, but I believe it's still good.
I think that's still on the count.
Yeah.
I would hazard a guess she's lying 3 in a look. So Janet's in trouble here after just dropping a 4 and now down 3, maybe 4 here again. And it looks like she's throwing more weight to me as she's playing on that non-ditch hand once more. Is she inside enough? No, she's not. Sailing right through into the ditch again. So that is another large end for Leanne. This could be a quick game, my friend.
It can be, but if I've learned anything from these players, they're good enough at adapting on the spot here and trying to stop the bleeding. So there's still a bit of bowls left, but you are right. If it keeps going big ends like this, then it'll be a short game for the last pool play game of not the day, but for the women's at least.
Yep. Either way, this should be the last 2 games for these two, as I do not believe they have a chance to make it into the top.
As they are looking here for that 4th bowl, is you wanna, if they're playing on measuring.
Kicking it in would make me think that it's rolling the dice again would be my guess. Could make it 10-1. 15 minutes into the game, 4th end in. Rink next door, I can see it's Alberta 5, Quebec 1. Which is Joanna Cooper over Muriel Beauchamp.
Well said, my friend.
Although if I were to be more accurate, it would be Muriel, I think.
As opposed to?
Muriel?
Yeah, Muriel.
Muriel?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Oh, I like what you did with your R there, too. Look at you.
Trying to learn.
Yeah, you are learning very quickly, too.
But I feel bad saying it when I know that I'm terrible at French. I feel like it's insulting to...
Oh, but at least you're trying, right? That's all they can ask for.
Yeah, I
By
guess
they,
so.
I mean French-speaking community.
Those people. Just kidding. And that was 11-1 now is the scores. Nope, 10-1, sorry.
10-1, as it was a 4.
Yeah, it was a 4.
So 2 perfect ends in a row here, right?
About those 2 perfect empins that you pulled out before.
Yeah, where are they? Were they given?
Snagged up.
Maybe I put them back in my bag. Anyways, needless to say, this is a medium to short length jack here, as comes up a bit wide there, a bit past as well. Nothing to write home about, nothing to be too upset as well.
When I said those people, French speakers, I did not mean any offense. I'm actually very excited to inform folks that the Drummondville club that opened up converted a tennis court
Yeah.
into a lawn bowling club, and they've already got 50 members. So shout out Drummondville for getting a new club going in Quebec. I'm not sure, their 6th club in Quebec maybe now, possibly. I'm not too sure, but always happy to see new clubs opening, and extra exciting to see Quebec, as they're one of our smaller provinces, gain a boatload of new members. So I'm not sure how many members they have now, but I would have to imagine it's at least what it was pre-COVID, maybe even higher.
As, it's tough to see on screen here, but I believe it's the Blue Bull of Ontario here, just nearly missing out, just in front of the jack here, a couple inches away, as those Saskatchewan Bulls are a bit scattered here.
Yeah, a bit of a loose end here.
Still trying to find the line here, the weight. These greens, as we said many times before on the stream here, the greens continue to evolve or devolve.
Ooh.
De-evolve, I guess.
Devolve, I like that. Okay.
So both of those guys, that's what's happening to the green. So the players have to find a way to manage that. And
How many rounds does this go, Matthew Evans? So it is the first to 21 points is this game, if that's what you're asking for. If you meant how many rounds does the actual event go, there are 4 groups of 6. They play a full round robin within their group, so each person will get 5 games. This is the 5th round for the women, so this will be the last of their round robin. If anybody's tied, we only care about the top 2, as the top 2 from each pool advance. So if there are ties for 1st or 2nd, we'll have some tiebreaker games, but assuming there's not, then we move into quarterfinals, semifinals, and finals, where a 1 seed will play a 2 seed from another pool,
right.
and vice versa.
And the quarterfinals are being played today, and the semis and finals naturally are being played on finals day, which is tomorrow.
Indeed. And also, who are these announcers? That's a great question, Matthew. So my name's Jake Shuknik. I am the Bulls Development Manager for Bulls Canada. And my colleague, I will let you...
Yeah, introduce myself,
Yeah.
yeah. I'm Alec Deschamps. I'm from St. Isidore, Ontario, Canada here. I'm the Communications and Event Coordinator here at Bulls Canada. Pleasure to have you with us here on the stream. Jake and I have done quite a few streams together now, if we combine the youth championships and this major championships. So pardon me for not introducing ourselves.
But it makes me sad, though, that today and tomorrow is probably our last one for the year, because we're not going to be at the same event again until next year, and who knows where.
Gotta get those bids in.
Gotta
we'll
get
know
those
where.
bids in. 2023 events. If your club wants to host an event in 2023, send us an email, fill out the online form to bid on hosting an event, as all events are open to any club to bid on. So get your bids in if you want to host. There's many benefits and perks to hosting. You get a sizable hosting grant from us. You get increased visibility, as many clubs gain new members when they host. We saw this week Burlington gained at least 2 new members just from seeing all the provincial uniforms out here.
Yeah, hey, just there. I remember there's a story for one of the new members here that just walked in the gate and came up to Jake and I. What's this about? Can I play this? And we're like, absolutely. And we pointed them towards one of the volunteers here at Burlington Long Bowling Club, and the rest is history, as they say.
So you can gain new members. You can also get quite a few grants you can tap into when you're hosting, so
Right.
that's even more money. But then also the legacy things. So whether it's upgrading your club equipment, whether it's upgrading your backboards, your ditches, your mowers, your internet, kitchen fridges, microwaves, anything like that. So typically when you host a national championship, you get a good chunk of change to start upgrading things. So
And water too, eh? We
Yeah,
saw
and
with
water,
we
yeah.
spoke to Charlie.
So the Burlington Lawn Bowling Club invested in a refillable water station for refillable water bottles
Yep.
or whatever. At the start of the week, I think they reset the counter to 0, and today they've saved 2,350 odd water bottles by using this refill station. So that means
Yeah.
2,350 plastic bottles not being used,
So
which
we're
is very cool.
doing our part here at the Burlington Lawn Bowling Club to minimize our environmental footprint. And good news too that Charlie announced that there is going to be a water refilling station outdoors as well. So just
Oh, did
outside,
it?
which
Oh,
will
okay.
be even closer to the greens.
Nice.
Yeah, so that'll be set up here in the near future here at Burlington.
So just looking at what's on the screen, we're back on the tee again. So this is
That's
just
not bad news for streaming purposes here.
bad news for viewers, but it's better than seeing 7 behinds of people in 4s, so I'll take this any day. But on the game at hand, I can see that the blue bowl you can see just under the 1, which is just on your screen there, is probably about a good foot behind the jack, and is probably shot as the marker's coming out to take a look and saying, yeah, you are holding 1, Leanne, that is the shot bowl.
As I'm waiting to see the bull here to come in. I don't believe. Oh, here it comes.
He's playing that ditch hand side, giving it a go, and that came right back to the center line just about.
Ooh, just missing a bit of juice, as we say.
Matthew Evans asking, what is the ref doing? So referees and bulls wear red shirts. I don't know if you can actually see one on your screen. So I'm guessing you meant the marker. So the marker on our green is wearing a blue shirt, and it's a volunteer at the club here. So markers are standing down here at each end, and they are basically making sure the game happens, the rules are being followed, to a point where they are going to chalk any bulls that touch the jack, because a bull that touches the jack can go into the ditch and still count, so they'll put chalk on it. And also to answer any questions the players may have. So quite often players will ask, who shot.
Shot being the nearest bull to the
nearest
jack.
bull to the jack, yeah. Which one is counting? How many am I holding? How far short was my last bull? Stuff like that. So they're there to answer questions, so that way the players don't need to walk all the way down and then all the way back.
Which most of the players in singles do anyways, just because it's good to see with your own eyes as well sometimes to assess a situation.
It's funny, as soon as we
start talking
start
about
talking
that,
about it, coming down to
both
take a
players here are coming down to the head, assessing the situation.
look. And you are correct that viewers want Leanne to stop throwing the white ball so far. Yeah, viewers would love it for a slightly shorter jack. Currently at the moment, and you can't really see the bulls on the screen too well, but I would hazard a guess that the red bull on the left of your screen is probably Leanne's closest, and there's a blue bull directly behind the jack that you also cannot see on your screen that is maybe a measure. So I would suggest it's probably a measure for 1.
And to give you reference here, as we're having trouble here getting the scoreboard updated live, that's a very nice shot here.
That's very clearly 1 for Janet.
So the 11 on the scoreboard is about where the jack is sitting. So give that as a perspective here for all the bulls around. As it did get moved back slightly behind the tee here, as I believe Janet threw that last
Yeah.
bull and made contact.
Red bull, green sticker for Saskatchewan, so Janet will be collecting 1. She did trail it right back next to one of Leanne's other bulls, but she stuck with it, so she'll collect the 1, stop the bleeding for now, and make it 11-2 in this battle to 21 shots. Each player getting 4 bulls. Time limit 2 hours, 15 minutes. Green's still green, sky still blue, sun still sunny.
And Jake still Jake.
Indeed.
As we change the camera angle here.
Leanne is letting us know it is very hot out there in the sun, so I am incredibly grateful that here in the commentator booth we are in the shade where there's a slight breeze. But it is toasty today at the Burlington Lawn Bowling Club in Burlington, Ontario. And if you happen to be in the area, come on down to 2275 New Street and catch some Canadian Championship bowling. As Janet has the mat up, probably halfway up the rink maybe. 12 feet from the tee, I would hazard a guess. And has rolled a short bowl, but that seems to be okay with Leanne, as she didn't question whether it was too short or not.
Boy, it'd be nice to get a jack right in the middle of our screen, eh?
It really would, but
eventually, but we've having one extreme to the other here.
I guess these players are not willing to oblige.
This was right on it, but unfortunately knocked the jack right behind. Or right beside, pardon me, that red Saskatchewan bowl. And a perfect example here is if the scorer comes down and marks the toucher, meaning the bowl touching the jack.
It's interesting how many leads, how many new bowlers always want to get a toucher, always want to get that chalk on their bowl, but quite often it's really not that relevant or useful, because all it means is if your bowl goes in the ditch, it could still count. But from where they're playing, you would have to hammer that bowl to get it into the ditch.
Well, rules are rules, and the scorer obliges to the rules naturally and marks it regardless.
I also learned from our chief umpire, George Cubis, that you have to chalk a bowl before the immediately following bowl comes to rest. Otherwise, it is no longer a chalker, a marker.
Interesting.
Yeah. So if you fail to chalk it before the next bowl comes to rest, then it loses that special power. Little fun fact with George Cubis. Chief umpire extraordinaire coming from Maple Ridge, BC, to be here all day, every day, this week and last week, just about. So it looks like it's still one red bowl that would be shot right now.
Yep.
And Leanne's coming down looking to change that, but just coming up inside.
As we are going to take a walk towards the head here.
I apologize, there's one bowl left to come now. That was only Leanne's third bowl.
Apology accepted.
That is quite the head up front, though, as all, 3-6 bulls so far are within about a foot or two of weight. That is quite the cluster.
Let's see if, despite the cluster, if Janet could do something here. She sets up on the mat here, pretty decisive with what hand she's throwing, as she's going ditch side, which is surprising for us because the last game that we saw, the guys tend to avoid that hand, but the woman here, I think, figured out how to properly execute a nice shot from Janet there, as that does disturb the head a bit, but I'm not sure if it changes the count at all.
Matthew, I absolutely can. Shout out to Leanne's granddaughter, Kyla, who just woke up from her nap.
Oh.
Good morning, Kyla.
Hi, Kyla. I hope you're all well rested and full of energy.
So Leanne is going to take it and run. As I just heard Janet shout down, you have one. And so through the mat, Leanne's not throwing her bowl because that looks way too
crowded,
dangerous. So Leanne will take one, make it 12-2.
She takes the 10-point lead right back here from Janet.
That was an unfortunate result from Janet. I'm not quite sure what she was going for. She threw weight and gave the shot away, but learning opportunity, I suppose. And I can see the rink next door is Alberta 9, Quebec 4 on rink 2. Peering through the bushes, I see BC 6, Alberta 3 way down yonder on rink 5, I think that is. And Nova Scotia 7, B2 BC is 2 on rink 4. I will let you do the math to figure out who's playing who on each of those rinks, as I have absolutely no idea.
As here comes the jack here finally, as my mic was away from my mouth there, as you can barely hear me. Here comes the jack. It is hopefully not too deep, as it needs to stop there immediately, as it will get covered by the scoreboard, as Jake is quick to move in, and hopefully that updates quickly on your screen as well. Yeah, so maybe we should keep that scoreboard up high, but see, the issue is on the other end. They tend to be going short,
Yeah.
which would... so basically there's no winning here for us at the streaming booth.
There's really not.
But
If this app was able to, I would love to have it go sideways down the left-hand side of the screen, but unfortunately that is not a feature for us to move the
like
scoreboard.
for those Formula One fans out there,
Yeah.
that's how the deltas and all that information in the standings are displayed on the left-hand side of your TV, going straight down.
So Leanne's first bowl came up about 10 feet short, and Janet just pumped into it. Fred Clark saying, proud of our heritage members. Strong play from Leanne and 2 mics. I forgot about Mike McNorton as another Michael when we were talking about how well, there's a lot of Davids here. There's a lot of
Right.
Michaels here. Mike McNorton, Mike Wagner. And Leanne's second bowl is about 1.5 feet from the ditch, so that
Yep.
is well off your screen.
It is further back than she is short,
It is.
if that made sense for our viewers.
Janet's next bowl is coming wide and heavy, but it will stay on at the back, and it's about a foot shorter than, not even a foot, 6 inches shorter than Leanne's bowl from the ditch. So they're matching bowls here, 2 short, 2 long. Who's going to be the first to get one relatively close? I'm going to quickly change cameras and see if that changes anything with the scoreboard. As I believe the jack is just under the 12. I'm not sure why it's not changing, but we will
Yeah, it is.
wait and see.
Yeah, so for point of reference, like Jake just mentioned there, the jack is right beneath that 12 of the Ontario 3. And
There
right
we
on
go.
cue, there it is. Changes for you at home.
So I think that might be the key next time we need to change the scoreboard. We just need to change the camera angle, and that'll be the...
Right, flick it back and forth.
Yeah. And this is a very loose head here. After
Very,
the last
very
one
loose.
being incredibly close, this is the exact opposite of that, which is kind of strange.
As that just misses the jack very narrowly here. As
That is probably the shot, even though it is 5 feet behind the jack.
and she might be even sitting 3 with that.
She could be sitting 3, so this is a very wide open head that Janet just needs to put a bowl within 5 feet to take one.
This is a huge advantage here, getting the last bowl, especially when it's this wide. Easy to
Mhm.
see your target. You just got to throw it in there. Even if it's a bit short, you got it. If it's a bit deep, you got it.
Anything in the ballpark. Not sure if Janet's following her bowl or just walking down to take a look.
I believe she is walking down to take a look,
Walking down to
unless
take a look.
her bowl is coming extremely slow. Which I
Nope,
highly
just
doubt.
walking. Just walking to see. So sometimes when you have no idea of weight control, it is a good idea to come down just to see how far your bowls actually are, to know how much you need to adjust. As I suspect that would be
And
one of the reasons Janet's down here.
I'm curious why she tends to measure what is jack and what is not with this much space. You would figure just roll it into close to the jack, and if you get that shot, then maybe measure for that second point. But then again, I'm not a bowler, so can't comment too much.
I suspect it might just have to do with the confidence thing. If you know that you're already lying 1 or lying 2, then you don't need to have as much pressure on this. You'll be
Right.
a little more relaxed. Whereas if you know you're down 1, then maybe you're a little more tense, saying, "Oh, I need to make this because I'm actually down." Bizarre to see such a loose head after the last one being so close, though. So this must be finicky length for whatever reason, as Janet has rolled on her non-ditch hand side and a little tap, little kiss, and I'm hearing some applause from Leanne, so I'm guessing that is now the shot.
Even though from this angle it doesn't quite look shot, but if you draw a vertical line from the jack all the way to that red bull, it does look shot from that angle. We'll have to wait and see here as
Leanne's taking a look, and
Leanne is taking a look.
I would hazard a guess that red one is shot, but it is strange sitting sideways to it, how different it looks. Are we putting a tape to it? I think we are. Next door, Joanna Cooper's up 10-4 over Muriel.
As you might have noticed here, I was going to say our employees, but our wonderful volunteers here at the Burlington Lawn Bowling Club, including Jake and I and Anna and George Cubis and his team, are all masked up here as we had to implement our new COVID regulations here at the Burlington Lawn Bowling Club. Thankfully, we're near the end of the event, so there wasn't too much pushback here, as it is, I know, a shame, especially with it being this hot outside. Wearing a mask is not convenient, but always appreciated, and I think everyone understood our reasoning, which is what we come to expect here, or expect from the bowls community, very understanding.
It is interesting, the different regulations just based off of where you are. There's the Ontario protocol, but then there's also the local public health. So
Right.
we're in Halton region, which is slightly different than Ontario, so it makes for a confusing scenario to be in. And this measure has shown us not a whole lot other than that Red Bull is shot. And so they're going to kick it out and redo this all over again, which was probably not the most efficient way to do this, but they're so far away it was hard to tell who's actually shot and who's not to begin with. So.
And we do have George Cubis here, the head umpire, looking on to make sure everything's right and being done correctly. As,
just behind the screen off center.
yeah, just not getting involved, just letting the players do what they have to do here.
So Matthew Evans saying they had lawn bowling on the Amazing Race a few weeks ago. They had these ball zambonis. Are these common? I didn't actually see that episode, so I'm not quite sure what you're referring to as ball zambonis. I'm going to go out on a limb here, and people in the comments, you can correct me if I'm wrong. I'm guessing you meant a ball polisher. So for whatever reason, clubs have these machines where you can put all 4 of your bowls inside it, and the machine is coated with almost looks like wool, kind of, and so you typically put in a quarter in the machine, and then it turns on and starts rolling around. All the bowls roll around and they get polished, and it makes them look super shiny. I'm guessing that's what you're referring to as a ball polisher, but I could be wrong. If you're talking about zambonis, I'm not really sure what else that could be. So if anybody else out there saw the Amazing Race a few weeks ago,
Maybe if John Simon is in here, he could give us an insight.
give us some insight as to what we're referring to on ball zambonis, because I've never heard of that. I'm intrigued. So the marker isn't quite sure what to do here. Leanne's walking down to say you need to roll it back, as the jack went out of bounds. In singles and with any sport, really, you get to... Oh! John Sightman, I think he's referring to the rakes. All right, I'll come back to that in a minute. The lead here, I should say, Janet threw the jack out of bounds, and in bowls, if someone throws the jack out of bounds, the opponent gets a chance to now roll it so they can set the mat wherever they want and roll the jack wherever they like. But back to the bowl zambonis, rakes. So here in Canada, we have made an invention due to our epic laziness, where instead of kicking all the balls in at the end to get them all to the same starting point, we created a device called a pusher or a rake, where all the bowls can then be pushed to the same spot, easier than kicking them one by one.
Well, especially when it's 4s, right? There is a lot of bowls here at the end.
There is a lot of bowls at the end, but it's interesting because in other countries, aka Australia, New Zealand, pushers don't exist, and so everybody comes in to help, and you kick 2 bowls in and you're done, because there's 8 people on the force team.
Yep.
So if everybody does their share, it can be very quick and efficient, and that is how they do it. And James Rimmer, that is semi-correct. Rakes aren't used outside of Canada. There are some countries that are adopting it, so I'm thinking, I have heard that some clubs in Wales are starting to use them. I've heard that some clubs in South Africa are starting to use them, but primarily when you go Southern Hemisphere, rakes do not exist because there's no need for them. Everybody just kicks their 2 bowls in and you're done, and it takes less time than having to go behind the bank to grab a rake and then come back out and push them all in, and more of a team effort.
All right.
It is baffling, but it does not surprise me that here in Canada, our laziness is shining through with how we can innovate and make one person do all the work instead of everybody do a little. Yay us. So that's a beautiful opening bowl from Janet to just get a toucher right away.
Yeah, I'm thankful the scoreboard is in the right position now that we can see the jack just fine here, just on the right-hand side of your screen there.
I should clarify that in the States they use rakes all the time too, so maybe it's just getting outside of North America,
Right.
as the US use them quite a bit. Hashtag innovation. I don't know if I would call that innovation, but yeah, sure, we'll be glass half full here. You're absolutely right, John, that it does speed up the game to just kick the balls in rather than using a rake. Having to walk all the way back to pick it up and then all the way back out again to use it just adds an extra 30 seconds to every end, which over a 16, 18 end game, it does add up. Other A-green scores when you get a chance? Sure can, John. So looking next door, sorry, 2 rinks down, on rink 3, Nova Scotia 8, BC 3. On rink number 4, Alberta 8, BC 6. On rink 5, New Brunswick 4, Nova Scotia 8. On rink 6, that's Jordan Koss and Pat Kaufman. Jordan Koss, Saskatchewan has 5. Ontario, Pat Kaufman has 7. And the rink next door, Alberta, Joanna Cooper has 10. Quebec's Muriel has 6. Clear day, I was wondering about that too. Isn't he talking about a roller, the Zamboni? So in bowls, we do have a device that rolls across the green to flatten the grass called a roller. It makes the green speed a little bit faster, so it's a little bit nicer to play on. Earlier in a comment, talked about how it collected the balls, so then that would be a rake or a pusher. But a roller or a polisher, greens polisher I should say, might be a little more similar to a Zamboni in the sense that it rolls across the entire playing surface. I would absolutely attack that if I were you. You're correct, Daryl. I would have jack or bull, played some weight.
As I believe this will be 1 for Saskatchewan now.
Mm-hmm.
As another point to Saskatchewan here, mounting the small and slow comeback, but nonetheless a comeback.
It's a good question, James. As we wrap up the round robin, what have been the biggest upsets in the round robin results? I haven't really seen score by score, result by result games. But the one thing that has jumped out at me, and that I'm absolutely floored and blown away by, Ozzie Chambers from BC went 5-0 in his group.
Wow.
And his group was the group of death, where there were the likes of Greg Wilson, David James Smith, Dave Anderson, Mike Wagner, and Mark Robar in that group, I believe. So, not to downplay Aussie's skill level, but I wouldn't have expected anybody in that group to go 5-0, as everybody in that group is a very quality, high-level bowler. So I would have expected a lot of 3 and 2s, or maybe the top would be 4 and 1 at best. But to go 5-0 is unbelievable as far as I'm concerned. So kudos to Ozzy for doing that. I'd say that's the biggest upset that he was able to clean sweep.
He was also getting his tracks together for in the youth championships. He was playing very well. He ended that tournament prematurely, but nonetheless, he was playing very well. So that momentum and confidence definitely carried over here. And kudos to Ozzy. He has been here since the start of the pairs and fours. So he's been here for a week at least, and still competing at the highest level.
When I commentated with him on one of the streams, he said that I asked him how the Ontario humidity's treating him, and he said that the Youth Championships was the first time he's ever played in a Bowls event in Ontario. And apologies for the loud ruckus outside. He said that the Youth was the first time he'd played in a Bowls event in Ontario, and he made reference that now that he's been here for a month, he's gotten used to it. So I don't know if that meant that he was just rounding up after going home and coming back, or if he's actually been here since the Youth Championships.
Shoot.
Which could be something else if he's actually been here since end of July.
Right, because it would. They were only a week apart, right, from the departure of the youth to coming in for the majors here. So most people I've talked to went back home, but nonetheless, it was, I think, maybe 5 or 6 days in between the getting home and then taking off again. So it wouldn't have been a bad idea to stick around. But then again, rounding up would not be a terrible idea as well, because it was only a 5-day break here.
So again, we've got the jack on the tee, which is just off your screen. So it's down about 2 inches. You can see the center line on your screen there. If you go 2 inches down further, you'd be able to see the jack. So that red bull is for sure lying shot. And Joe Blanchette, happy to oblige, loving the commentary. Enjoyed the soup and orange conversations this morning. So thanks for streaming this. Allow fans across the country to watch. Greatly appreciated.
Oh, thank you very much. Very kind words.
And John is saying Ozzy did stay in between the two events. So that means Ozzy's been in Ontario since July 29th, 30th, somewhere around there, whenever he would have flown in. So he's been here for a while to acclimatize to Ontario's famous, disgusting, sweaty humidity in summer that everybody loves.
Charlie greeted me at the door.
And so, Joe, we're happy to oblige with our phenomenal commentating. For those of you who weren't here this morning, we had a good conversation about is cereal soup and what came first, the color or the fruit in terms of orange, what was named first.
Just to be clear, we are not going back into that conversation, as Jake and I have very different opinions on both subjects.
Next one up is a hot dog a sandwich.
As, geez, a lot of short bowls here.
There really is. It seems like coming this direction, they just really struggled to get their weight, and this is the second consecutive time coming this way that it's been a pretty
As,
loose.
Janet from Saskatchewan is still holding shot here with that red bull. I don't know if it's just creeping in the frame there, as I believe it is. So that bottom, on the bottom left-hand side of your screen there, you do see a red bull, and that would be about, let's say, if I'm going to bring up my football metrics here and say it's 2 yards from the jack there. So to give you a perspective of where the jack is.
You're talking with the red bull on the right? Because the one on the left is the one that's only 5 inches from the jack.
Yeah, yeah. Am I talking about the right one?
Is a yard in football not something like several feet?
No, I believe there's 3 yards in 1 foot. Do not quote me on that, as opposed to 3 feet in 1 yard. But I would need assistance from the comments.
Comments.
Please.
Daryl, I know you're a football fan. Get in on this.
Is a yard larger than a foot?
I am fairly confident it is. I think there's like 3 feet in a yard.
3 feet in a yard. Yeah, okay. It's one or the other.
But it is one or the other.
Yeah,
that's right.
100%.
I don't watch football, so that's not my...
Well, see, that the sad thing is I do, and I thought a yard was minuscule.
Yeah.
But now that you say that, they only go 10 yards, right? So if it's... I don't know, we'll see.
So that was 1-2 Janet from
Yep.
Saskatchewan, that red bull in the bottom left corner.
That
of
we
West County.
had the discussion about.
Aha, Daryl chiming in and saying a yard is 3 feet.
A yard is 3 feet, so I had
it backwards.
Had it backwards, so thank you for clarifying. I will most likely forget in the next half an hour and keep going with my wrong ways. But at least for now, for this stream, I know.
So you can see where Janet's got the mat way up as Leanne's kicking them up. We'll see if she keeps this in bounds, as there's been a couple times both players have rolled the jack out of bounds. Now that it's 12 to 4, it seems like Janet's maybe starting to make a bit of a run. Sorry, 12 to 5, as Janet's starting to make a bit of a run here to see
Yep.
if we can make this into a game after Leanne's hot tamale start.
No, Daryl. Straw has one long hole.
Absolutely, a straw has 2 holes.
Oh my lord, guys.
For sure. These are brilliant questions.
Okay, they can be. I'll give you this. There are 2 holes, but they are connected.
Yes.
But in
okay,
my
yes.
opinion, a hole like is a separate entity. So like if you have 2 holes, then they're not connected. But
What-
that's okay.
One of the questions I ask in our competition coach workshop as an icebreaker to get people started.
I think Sarah and I have very similar opinions.
One long hole, says Sarah.
Yes.
Question that I asked to break the ice in our competition coach workshop. Are there more windows or wheels in Canada?
Oh,
No,
it was
more
doors.
Yeah, you're right, it's
Doors
doors.
or wheels.
Doors
yeah.
or
That
wheels.
took over the social media
It sure
by
did.
storm.
And I love that question. What are your thoughts?
Oh man, I don't know. I actually don't know because both arguments are very valid. So I tend to not get into that because I can't justify one side. As Janet here from Saskatchewan throws an absolutely beautiful bowl here,
Just throwing a
as she
beauty
is
bowl.
turning it on here for us.
We'll see if Leanne can counter. It looks like she's playing this ditch hand side.
As very impressive to see as the boys are trying to find that line. As unfortunately comes up a bit short here. Is coming off very strong off the gate here for Leanne, and now she seemed to calm down a bit from her hot start. And that bowl, I think, it caught the ridge. Yeah, and she's
Yeah.
gonna go all the way through here. That's the trouble you run into if you try to go to that ditch side.
There is a point of no return, and she found it and is looking on the line. Part of it's on the line.
If it's on the line, it's definitely in. I
Don't think it's really going to come into play, so probably shouldn't really matter at all, but Leanne's going to go and take a look anyway.
So any part of the bowl that is on the line would be considered good, correct? Or does the entire bowl have to be within the playing field?
I believe it is any part of the bowl has to touch the middle part of the line.
Oh, interesting.
So when the umpires come, they typically have like a fishing line that they'll put down the middle of that boundary marker. thing.
Right.
So if any part of the bowl touches that fishing line, which will be in the middle of the boundary line, then it is good, I believe. But
That is very interesting.
anyone in the chat want to correct me, as I have seen umpires do different things before, and so it makes me question whether that's actually the ruling or not. I believe at one point it was half of the bowl has to be in bounds, so it has to be the center part of the bowl that's touching the line. I could be making that up. That could just be shenanigans that someone told me when I started. And because of that, I am no longer 100% sure on what the ruling actually is. And we have Annie Maffey from BC repping the umpire shirt here, coming out here with Dwayne Hawk. So we're going to get all 3 officials down here to check whether this bowl is in or out. Thanks for sharing, Matthew. Leanne spends most of her time training with the Novice Triples KW champ. That's how she got so good.
Interesting.
Yeah, if you train with someone who's better than you are, you're probably going to pick up a few things, and eventually you might be able to switch roles and become better than they are. So that's not a bad idea.
Super sweet. It's kind of works like that with golf as well. When you have a foursome at golf and the 3 guys or girls that are better than you, you learn very quickly, and you're kind of forced to be better to keep up with the good players. So it's very similar for bowls as well.
Mm-hmm.
Feel a need to keep up with people that are quote unquote better than you.
Daryl dropping bombs and questions in the chat here.
What, Daryl? Daryl.
But is ketchup jam?
No,
Why not?
because it'd be a puree,
Oh.
if
But
anything.
is a puree not a type of jam?
No,
Jam puree?
I don't know. No, you're. As we were talking to the umpire here, as I almost ate my words because I almost said a puree is when you make a jam, quote unquote, substance with a vegetable, but tomato is a fruit.
Yep.
So I am completely handcuffed here. So I'm just going to say it's not jam and have no reasoning behind it.
Ooh, I love that. Love that. It's not because I said so. I feel like it absolutely is. Good call, Daryl. 100% agree.
You guys, you bowlers have the most interesting,
Logic?
not logic, just questions in general that I've never heard.
Matthew, I agree with you that we need some infographics to pan over and show player stats. Unfortunately, I have 0 player stats for folks other than their standings, which I don't know if the overlays on here would be really super user-friendly to be able to input what the user stats are.
As I believe here the umpires are finally, as we're trying to kill as much time here with his ketchup jam, as the umpires are finally roping in their fishing line per se to see if that bowl was in or not.
The bowl is live.
The bowl is live, says George Cubis. So the umpires did confirm that the last bowl thrown by Janet from Saskatchewan is still in play.
So John's telling us that ketchup could be jam as there's a fruit and sugar included, which if tomato's a fruit and there is sugar in ketchup, then it could be classified as a jam.
Yeah, I can believe that.
So now back to the game at hand. Leanne is on the mat and playing her blue bowl down. Looking to see if she can disturb that red bowl off, and she looks to be inside and light after that lengthy delay.
Right.
It can be hard to bounce back after standing around for 5-10 minutes waiting.
Hi, guys.
Big thanks to George, Annie, Dwayne for keeping us on our toes and fulfilling umpire duties.
As Janet here from Saskatchewan comes up well short still, it seems where the bowls are converging here that the jack may be there, but the jack is further back here on the right-hand side of your screen. As they are huddling up there well short of the jack, as it might be a psychological issue nonetheless.
Well, Leanne played with a little bit better weight there. Still crashed and burned on a bowl, but that might be good enough for second shot. I can't quite tell from this angle what is past the jack.
Yeah. I'm not sure. I believe it's just the one for Janet here from Saskatchewan, as that red bull is obviously leaning towards the jack.
So that would make it 12-6 if it's only one. I do not know if it's only one or more.
And I thought I completely shut off the stream as my heart skips a beat. And as it is now, we're cut the deficit down to 6 points here for Janet.
Making the
As
comeback.
it was, I do remind you that it was 12-2 at one point, 11-1 even, if we want to go far back. So Janet's doing a very good job here of just putting those bowls in, getting those ends 1 point at a time, which will slowly become very demoralizing here for Leanne if she does not stop the momentum here from Janet.
Ooh, love that. Janet. And Janet has the mat up again. We'll see if she puts it on the tee. I suspect she will.
As we flip camera here to see where the jack will end up.
Good afternoon, Tammy Foster Vino, tuning in from Nova Scotia. Congrats on winning gold in the women's fours
Hey, Tammy.
not that long ago. And also celebrating a birthday.
Yeah.
Happy belated to one of our regional coaches out in Nova Scotia. So quickly touch on that here is that something that we've been working on developing is a regional coach network. So we know that we need to have eyes on the ground, boots on the ground across Canada. And so our goal is that we'll have regional coaches in every region of Canada to work with and identify up and coming talent. And that way, whenever they apply for national squad or high performance level bowls, we can put them on the right track, put them in touch with our regional coaches, and help them develop as best as we can.
And Tammy, feel free to scroll on the comments here as we have some good discussions about straws and if ketchup is jam and so on. So if you want to add your comments to that, you're more than welcome to add them in. As we're mixing in the serious talk to the Bulls talk, or serious talk and the bowlers talk. That's what I wanted to call it.
Speaking of serious talk, Daryl's dropping the most insightful knowledge on us all.
Yeah, what do you say?
Always remember that the key to singles is to win the final end.
That is very insightful.
Philosophy with Daryl.
As speaking of Leanne trying to slow Jana's momentum, she is holding shot here as she throws her second bowl here as it's going to come up just long.
Not quite enough to be covering the tee, I don't think. So she probably either wanted that to be an extra 2 feet heavier or probably 2 feet shorter to be in the count.
Right.
Sarah Van Stein says ketchup is a sauce, but you're not denying whether it's a jam or not. It could be both, no?
Do you need jelly and jam?
Yeah, that's your question. What's the difference between jelly and jam? I
Well,
actually
don't you
know.
just need jelly to make jam? Like, isn't jelly like a substance? Like Jell-O? Like Jell-O's jelly with flavoring? With flavor? You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
So there's none of that in ketchup. So maybe that's why it's a sauce.
Oh, yeah, maybe.
Because it's like water-based or something and not jelly-based.
No.
Anyways, we should ask Gordon Ramsay.
Gordon Ramsay, get down here. If anybody knows him.
Leanne now, I believe, is holding 2 as of right now.
She sure is, and Janet's coming down to take a look, which is probably a good idea with her last bowl to come to see what she can do to try and keep her momentum going. So her last bowl is probably going to have to be a cold draw. I don't see a whole lot of anything else. I guess you could try and play a ridiculous double takeout of those blues, but that'd be a very tough drive to make. And based off of Janet's previous play here, I don't suspect she's going to be ripping a drive.
Right. Is yeah, a bit of a tricky head.
Prove me wrong here. This looks like a drive. Never mind.
Nope.
Never mind. Out of the hand, it looks quick. She will, in fact, draw a shot.
Nice. As that is very well done by Janet, so this game does not get out of hand too quickly for her here.
I will eat crow, as the saying goes. Which is a hilarious saying in and of itself. So last bowl here for Leanne. We'll see if she can actually stop the comeback. But no, she is wide and heavy, so that'll be another 1 to Janet.
Yeah, as she is creeping up, trying to erase that deficit.
The chat is slowly transitioning away from the ketchup jelly to hot dog sandwich.
Oh,
where
here we go.
John's saying that in Canada and America, the answer is yes, a hot dog's a sandwich, but in Australia, no, because you need 2 slices of bread. To which Sarah responds, 1 slice of bread is an open-faced sandwich.
Dum dum dum.
And Tammy's chiming in saying ketchup is savory, jam is sweet, so no, ketchup's not a jam.
Yeah. I guess that's a good. I almost said fig jam is not. You have it.
Yeah.
Fig jam is sweet, but you have it on savory dishes.
Yes.
Not always, but most of the
yeah.
time.
Yeah. Well, now we're talking. What do you have it with? Yeah. Okay.
Fig
Okay.
jam, grilled cheese with goat cheese is
Cool.
very, very nice.
If anybody wants to come down and start cooking, mouth is watering for some of the stuff Alex talking about. Daryl, you are correct. My fave too. Love a good hot dog sandwich with ketchup jam. My fave.
Daryl. That is actually pretty funny, I'm not gonna lie.
We talked about the bowler's breakfast. Is that the bowler's lunch? Just need the bowler's dinner and we're good to go. So we finally have a jack here that's not super long or super short.
Right
This
in
is
the
like
middle of our screen.
perfect middle. Big fan.
Good, as I thought I missed the score here, but it is 12-7 in favor of Ontario here, as Janet does throw first, as she did win the last end here with a single point, creeping ever so slightly back, as she throws a very nice shot here. Is that a bit too heavy, but does have fairly square contact with the jack, sending it to the back right-hand side of your screen, but the back left for these players.
Kind of surprised Leanne didn't call for a jack measure just because the mat was basically at the hog line and the jack was not at the tee. But
Right.
it is much closer to it now that Janet has moved it back a good 6 feet. And Leanne has drawn a very close bowl there. That's within a foot or so. Trying to reclaim the mat and stop the bleeding, as like you said before, it was 11-1, 12-2, whatever
Yeah.
score you want to start
Yep.
from, and it's now 12-7, so dire straits almost. Janet has come up well short with her second, and
Yes.
Leanne is looking to capitalize on that with drawing another.
There we go. There's the Leanne we saw in the beginning of the match here. Putting 2 bowls within 5 feet. I'm not going to go in yards because I clearly don't know the conversion, so we'll keep it to feet here.
Doesn't that just baffle you that Canadians don't actually get to use one consistent unit
For anything?
for anything?
Yep. Like how we measure distance in kilometers, but height in feet as opposed to meters.
And then weight in pounds?
Canada, eh? Gotta love it. As, not Janet, pardon me, but Leanne tries to draw in an identical bowl of her first 2 ones here. Of her first 2, yeah, and comes up a bit short. I don't believe it'll be in the count, but then again, Janet's bowls are kind of far away. Except that back one there is just resting and might be closer than the third shot from Janet of Ontario, which is the top blue one, as we see Janet looking at it here, trying to decipher the situation.
I'm going to give a quick shout out to Mike O'Reilly hopping on the chat saying Aussie did stay since the Youth Nationals. Nice to have you with us, Mike. He was one of the coaches for Australia at the Youth Championships. He also played here and won gold in the 4s for Team Alberta last week, men's 4s, and is now back living life up in Calgary at Calgary Lawn, where that club is absolutely thriving under some quality leadership of Mike O'Reilly. So if anyone's in the area, I've heard that Calgary Lawn has the best greens in Canada, so highly recommend you make the way out there to have a roll-up on them.
Or just pop in and say hi to Mike.
Yeah, nicest guy you'll ever meet.
Yeah, without a doubt.
If I could take a Mike and clone him and put him in every club in Canada, we would be much better off.
Then original Mike would have to govern all other Mikes,
All
I
other
believe.
Mikes? Perfect.
Just
Sign
a
him.
Mike umpire.
Yep.
Or empire, pardon me, not umpire. He can be an umpire as well if you want, say Mike.
He will officiate the other Mikes. As Leanne's rolling another beauty here, that is
Yep.
3 for sure, maybe
Even 4. As she comes back to her old ways of perfect ends.
Yeah. Three would give her 15, 4 would give her 16, and stretch that lead almost back to double digits again. Amy Terrell, thanks for sharing this. Leanne Franklin's my sister. Awesome, nice to have you.
Welcome
sharing
to the
on.
stream.
Indeed. And oh, burn on Patuli. Did we say something that offended Patuli? I'm not quite sure. The nicest guy? I mean, Mike and John are both quality folks. I'm not trying to say they're not nice.
We're just talking about, it happened to be Mike in the crosshair.
Did maybe we say the nicest Mike? And so now she's like, oh, burn on another Mike Patuli?
Maybe.
That might
Yeah,
have
you
been
got to
what we
be
said.
careful what you say.
That's fair. My apologies to any Mikes out there.
As pardon me here as I stumble my words, I'm unable to see if that was indeed a perfect end for Janet of Ontario, or pardon me, of Leanne of Ontario. That was a 3, as my co-host is indicating me, as that will bring Ontario up to 15 As although Janet was starting to come back here on Leanne, Leanne gets a big end here with multiple points, stretching out the lead a bit more. As I think that's the main difference that we're seeing in this match here, is Janet is going 1 point ends, sometimes 2, but most likely 1 point. And Leanne here is taking full advantage of ends with multiple scoring ends.
This is kind of a strange match here, just as another jack was rolled out of bounds.
Right.
So it gives the mat right back to Janet to do what she wants with it. And so she's got the mat up. I suspect this is going to the tee, so apologies for the view coming up here, as, yeah, not surprised, this is right back to the tee. So Jack will probably be off your screen once more. You know, if we would have angled the camera down to cover the tee, then I bet every end would have been short and we wouldn't have been able to see anything at the hog line. So
You know what, yeah. I'm almost tempted to climb up there and change it, but also we are live and I don't want to disturb any wiring that we have hooked up or anything like that.
yeah, that's fair. Plus, as soon as you do, they'll start playing it to the
Short,
hog line,
right.
and it won't matter anyway. So you can almost make out where the jack is, as you saw the marker center, and it's not too far below. So that, for reference, that bull is probably 2 feet short of the jack and 6 inches left of the center
Yep.
line. The one nice thing about them playing to the tee is it stops right perpendicular to our commentator's booth, so we can see everything perfectly through the window, as Leanne's first bull stops just a
Yep,
foot
it
short
does
of the
not
ditch.
make it to the ditch just quite.
We will see what Leanne does with her second bull here. Sorry, it was Janet's bull that stopped a foot short of the ditch. Leanne is lying 1 with her blue bull up there. Leanne's second bull coming down here. I think she needs to find a friend.
Oh,
Into the ditch it goes. I got a wick. Hoping to find a friend, but didn't happen today. So Janet's second bull needs to be within 2 feet to get shot. She is playing that non-ditch hand again and has not made much of an adjustment, as that is sailing on through. Found a friend, pushed her first one to the plinth, and the ditch board saved it. Carpenter bull saved it. So she has 2 red bulls that are basically hugging the ditch, while Leanne has one that is shot 2 feet short.
and speaking of Leanne here, she comes up as the bull is slowing in very nicely here towards the jack, as no issues there, coming up a bit short, but judging by the 2 very long bulls here from Janet, she is having a bit of trouble here dialing in that weight, so nothing wrong with that bull.
Currently 2 shots to Leanne. We'll see if Janet's third one is able to change that. This is a much better
Oh,
placed
yeah.
bull. That is shot drawn. Boom.
Just like that, she made me eat my words as it falls even almost towards the jack.
Give that 30 seconds, and here it goes. Leanne's asking how far ahead is her last shot from the jack.
This one right here, or at the back? No, this.
There we go. Leo, great question. Are we going to stream anything else today? We are probably going to try to stream the quarterfinals, but I'm assuming that we're going to have tiebreakers in between. So we're not going to stream the men's 57-minute makeup finishing a game that got rained out. So that'll be 57 minutes off air. I do not intend to stream the tiebreakers, as I don't want to have someone play on the same rink twice, as a tiebreaker game could be here and then the winner playing on the same rink again. So not going to be doing that. But the quarterfinals this afternoon, which I guess could be later in the evening actually, we will attempt to stream. But at that point it is going to come down to time, as if the game's not starting until 6 p.m., probably won't, just because getting under the lights we're going to get some pretty horrendous shadows, and not sure how good these cameras will be in the dark. But our plan is to stream the quarterfinals, and you'll need to stay tuned to social media, Facebook, as we'll post something there to say whether or not we're going live or not. So there'll be a lengthy break after this game to answer your question, and tentatively planned for QF quarterfinals. So Janet's last bowl here just needs to draw something within 2 feet to score
Oh,
two.
is this is has some good weight on it here. Is this going back and
Touch too
joining
heavy.
her first bowl here? That was right near the ditch.
That will make it 15-8 for Leanne over Janet, as Janet will pick up one here.
Thank you, Jake, as I am not too quick on the scoreboard here.
That is all right.
I do see 15-7, but on the scoreboard, but I do believe that we have the correct score here. But the score is moving down towards the scoreboard here on rink 1 at the Burlington Lawn Bowling Club, so we'll find out if our score is correct here, 15-8. I do believe in magic.
Well, now we're getting into some philosophical questions. Do you believe in magic?
Wow. All the questions. As we have a bit of a gust of wind here for the players, as Janet looks, I believe we'll go for a deep jack here if tradition holds true. As the jack, I think, will rest on the back half of our screen here, but still in view, thankfully enough.
So Joe has a good question here. I was looking through the standings from men's pairs last week, and I was curious what happened to the team from New Brunswick. I was sure they had done their playdowns. So New Brunswick does their playdowns typically a year in advance. So the playdowns that they've done this summer will actually be for the 2023 championships, I believe. But on top of that, a lot of times New Brunswick does not send a team because it is very expensive to fly from New Brunswick to wherever the events may be. So they might have a provincial qualifier or provincial playdown, but then the winners elect not to go just because it is too expensive to get from point A to point B. So I'm not sure if you were looking at their playdowns this year, which I think they had a few weeks ago, which are actually for the 2023 championships, or if you were referring to their playdowns they did last year, in which case they might have still done them and just the winners chose not to go. That would be a question for Bulls New Brunswick Boulangrais. BNBB, and I do not have an answer for you.
Oh, I think it was a good answer, just we don't have the specifics on that.
So Janet's opening bowl was about 4 feet through, not a terrible place, and Leanne's coming down here nicely to make it a measure now all the way around.
I believe that last bowl was Janet's bowl and not Leanne's. Leanne is now throwing her blue bowl here. Coming up a bit long and a bit wide as well. As this gust of wind is welcomed here, as it was getting quite warm here in the sun, especially with our black masks that are attracting heat naturally. So this nice wind is welcomed as well, as this is a very nice bowl here from Janet, as I believe she brings the count to 2 and maybe even 3 in her favor.
Pressure's on for Leanne. She hasn't really been able to get her groove back after that
No.
hot start. In the ballpark, just getting a rub and a piece of the jack, and that will do for one blue at the moment.
Yeah, it will. A very nice play here. She was coming very heavy, but that the bowl from Janet there was able to slow her down a bit.
So John Siteman's confirming what I said. New Brunswick's one of the provinces who usually play to go in the following year, and they also don't require their winners to attend. So thanks for confirming what I suspected there, John. I can see the game next door has finished between Alberta and Quebec, but I did not see the final scoreboard. So last I saw, Alberta was winning, but not quite sure if they actually won the game or pulled it out or not. Yeah, Joe, you're probably right. Travel expenses are never cheap, especially with air travel agencies trying to recoup lost costs from COVID, so flying anywhere is not cheap. That is probably a good indication of why New Brunswick did not send anyone besides singles players to this event, which there are New Brunswick players here. We've got Brian and Jenny Myers playing in the men's and women's
Yep.
singles this week. Tammy, we are masked right now, so we learned that there was someone who tested positive at the club yesterday. So the region of Halton Local Public Health requires that if you come into close contact with a positive case, you must self-monitor for 10 days, mask for, 5 days. Monitor yourself for 5 days, mask for 5 days, and avoid high-risk settings, so no long-term care homes for us.
As Leanne tried to draw one in here, and I think she's just coming up a bit wide.
So is that one blue bull to Leanne?
I believe it'll be just the one for Leanne if the camera proves anything justice.
I think you're right. But that will stop the bleeding. Creep her a little bit closer to 16.
So I believe they are putting a... Okay, never mind. I thought they were putting a measure to it, but I believe it'll just be the one for Ontario here. So it's now 16, 18. So we are changing camera angles here as well. There you go. As we see the score up here at the top left here.
So 16-8 as this game creeps along. In this battle to 21 shots between Leanne Franklin of Ontario and Janet Watson of Saskatchewan. The final round of the round robin for the women, with a 57-minute match coming up for some of the men to finish their rain-out game, which was an interesting scenario I've never had to deal with, as we called the players off for rain, thunderstorms, to be more precise. We waited and waited and eventually said, you know what, it's just going to be thundering all night, let's go home and we'll try this again later. But something I'd never thought about is we needed the players to sign the scorecard to say where the game's left off, which I've never had to do before.
All right.
Players are having a chat here. I'm not quite sure what they're talking about.
First bull here was thrown by Janet of Ontario, or pardon me, Janet of Ontario. That was wrong. Leanne of Ontario here with the blue bulls, coming up a bit short and wide. I believe she did catch that point of no return, or that ridge there that we talked about on the ditch side. As soon as you hit that, your bull is going straight through as opposed to having its usual draw in.
I am not quite sure what we're doing here, as both players are coming down with an umpire call.
Is it to measure the bull in play? As this has been a rather long game here with a lot of interruptions.
It is a boundary measure, so they're measuring to see if that bull is in play here again, which is strange to me that they're doing this again, because it's so far out there that it doesn't really matter. You can easily draw inside it. It's not really going to impact the game whatsoever.
Right.
But
Nonetheless, they do have the right to call an umpire over,
yep.
and it is the umpire's duty to oblige.
So we get to watch George and Dwayne work together here again on getting the string all the way down to the other end to see if this bull is in or out, which from this angle I have absolutely no idea.
Looks to be in, but then again it is on its It is standing upright, making it a bit of a skinnier target here. As it is well in.
Can't even really see the string on the screen hardly. And here comes the right angle. It is out.
It is out. I stand corrected from this angle. I thought it was in. And the bull is dead, as the George Cubis confirms for us. And we will resume play here very shortly.
It is quite the reel of string that George has to stand here forever to wind back up. As
Right.
It, comes all the way back up. A little twisty-loo, and here we go. So now the players will make their way back down to the mat to roll the rest of their bowls.
As we are coming up here to 12:40, which does not tell me much because I completely forget at what time they ended up starting at here, if they were on time or a bit delayed. I believe they were on time.
Could mean, what, an hour 40 in, I guess? if
On,
they started
on
at
time
11?
being at 11, yep. So assuming they started at 11, they would only have 35 minutes of play left here with our new shortened regulations.
Mhm.
As 16-8 here for Leanne of Ontario against Janet of Saskatchewan here. As now we see Leanne of Ontario making her way to the mat.
Thank you for typing in the chat here, Matthew, as we've got some fun facts for the infographic. Leanne likes to bake pies. Her sous chef Connor eats said pies. She also had an interior decorating business and also curls. So there's some fun facts about Ontario's Leanne Franklin. And Matt's asking, where do you go if you win this tournament? So the winner of this event, there was actually some debate on this yesterday, and I never did find an answer, but the winner of this will go on to represent Canada at the 2023 World Champion of Champions event, which I believe is either in New Zealand or Australia. Still waiting to be confirmed from people who know more than I do on that. But it's in 2023. It's typically in the fall, like October, November-ish. And it is where you will play other countries' champions. So thank you, John, for filling that in. Nene, New Zealand in November of next year. So lots of time to prepare, to book your flights and everything should you win this event. And you'll play against other countries' champions. Second place players are not allowed. It has to be the gold medal from a country, the winner. With a possible exception of if someone from outside the country happens to win it. Residency eligibility exception. And so Leanne has drawn what looks to be the shot here with her last bowl there, bowl number 2. Sorry, bowl number 3, I should say.
As Janet comes up a bit short here on both her bowls.
Trying
And
here
make
again.
that all 3 of her bowls.
Yeah.
Making a Bermuda Triangle in there.
Another loose end coming this way, so for whatever reason, coming this direction seems to be finicky. And there we go with Leanne slapping one in there to be shot itself. Well, Matthew, that's a question you'll have to ask the winner. I assume she would bring her cheering section if she were to win. That would be a question for whoever happens to win the event, as we looked at the standings earlier, and neither Janet nor Leanne are able to advance out of their section here, as they will not finish in the top 2. But in future years, if either of these women were to win, then perhaps they would bring a cheering section with them. You'll need to ask. So is that 1, a 2, or a 3 for Leanne?
I believe it is 3 for Leanne as of right now.
Because that's all the bowls done.
All right, because her first bowl was out of play.
Correct.
And then it's 3 here as I overhear the conversation from the players and the score. It is 3. Yeah, bringing her at 19 as she could well finish this next end if she chooses. Or not if she chooses, but I guess if she chooses.
I guess if she
To a
chooses. Yeah, I mean,
To a certain degree.
yeah, you're not wrong.
As we change camera angles here to see where the jack's going to end up.
19 to 8. So a long ways to go for Janet, as she is in need of 13 shots if she were to win this game, whereas Leanne only needs 2. Amy saying I think she would bring her sister, Matt. So I guess Matt and Amy, you two can decide over who's going to get to go with Leanne if and when she were to win an outdoor singles championship. You will have several years to argue over that and try and twist her arm into having the proper cheering squad go with her. Interesting playing the ditch hand
Ooh,
side.
I believe it caught that ridge there that we have been talking about.
Knowing that that ridge is there and the head is wide open, I'm curious why anyone would willingly go and play that hand.
Right. To each his own?
But to each their own.
Or, yeah, their own. There you go. Thank you.
But Leanne was trying it as well and also still coming in across. So I am très confused on why these women are playing the tricky hand, but perhaps they just really want to master it before the day is done.
As I believe Janet is holding shot here despite the large distance between the bull and the jack.
Mm-hmm.
As this seems a lot better here.
This is a much better bowl from Leanne.
There we go.
Numero uno. So Janet playing her third bowl here, still trying to master this ditch hand side, and this looks like a much better bowl from her as well.
As it is quite heavy as well. Pardon me.
You are welcome, Ken Simpson says thanks for the great camera work. It beats looking at the bowler's feet end after end. Kudos to you, Alec, for setting the cameras up the way you did.
Thanks, guys.
And so another one here from Leanne. This looks narrow as well, but as long as the weight is good, that'll be good for 2.
Ooh, and possibly the game
That
here.
is the game, unless Janet's
Janet
able to
has,
capitalize on
as
her
she
loss.
is wisely going down to the head here to assess the situation and try to either minimize the damage or take the head, or take the end, pardon me.
So I think she's down maybe even 3, which would mean she can't just drive and pick out a bowl because she needs to stick around because she can't afford to give up 2. So biggest opportunity here, really all she can do right now I think is just draw would be the smart thing to do. I cannot tell you how close the Nene Lawn Bowling Club is to Hobbiton, Matthew, so that'll be something you'll need to go to New Zealand to find out for yourself. I'm told that it is still quite the thriving theme park, as Lord of the Rings was shot in New Zealand. And so Janet's last bowl is coming up narrow and light, and that will be the game, 21 to 8 for Leanne Franklin.
As the opponent shake hand here at 21 to 8, as she did come out to a fast start. Bit of a slowdown midway through her game, but nonetheless, she closes out the victory here with a 21 to 8 match against Janet, Saskatchewan.
Well, thank you for commentating with me again, Alec.
Oh, thank you for having me, and thank you to everyone putting your wonderful comments, either they're Bulls related or not. It was great fun chatting with all of you, and
We will try to be back for the quarterfinals later this evening.
yes, stay tuned.